little time here.
Yeah.
What happened last week? You got cut off a little bit?
Yeah, like I said, so I'm gonna give it like we're gonna take some time. Taking some time. That seems like it should be a lyric, but I don't know what.
Well, I'm taking my time. I keep rolling on. Remember that song?
Oh yeah, Boston.
Yeah,
I love Boston.
That's a great album too.
Yeah, that's their only good album.
Oh, yeah, but it took them forever to make it.
Yeah.
I don't know. They had a couple, but they were both big.
They've got that other album that's got Amanda on it, and that's a good song.
I want to take you by surprise. I like that song.
Oh yeah, I love Amanda. That's the only good song on the record.
Well, that's all you need.
Yeah, I guess all you need is. Have you ever bought a record that for just one song?
I've bought tons of like CD stuff that just had one song I'd heard. I was like, "Well, this is gonna be great." And you're like, "No."
Yeah, it's crap.
I'll tell you one Titanic soundtrack. That really sucked. And then when I was watching the movie, I was like, "Man, this is gonna be great." All this maritime. No, it was junk. I hated it. Yeah, go figure.
I was like that with the soundtrack for the movie, the classic American Pie, which featured literally millions of songs that were not on the soundtrack at all. And
Which American? You mean
like the '90s teen comedy?
You bought the soundtrack from that?
Yeah, because it had a bunch of.
You know, it's funny you should mention that. You know, the chick, the real hot chick that was in that. Who was it that was telling me they saw her at a fan convention, and she was still super hot. I'm trying to think who it was. So who would I can't remember.
Well, she wouldn't have been that old. I mean, she's probably
like
20 when the movie was made.
I'm just saying, you know, it can go.
Yeah.
So there you go. I can't remember her name. Do you Shannon something?
I don't know.
Boat.
I can't remember much about the movie other than I bought the soundtrack and was disappointed. And I thought, boy, if this is my generation's Breakfast Club, my generation sucks. I remember
is that
thinking
what that was considered?
I remember thinking
was
that.
Nothing like that.
I remember thinking that because there's this scene of them walking in slow motion on the beach, like towards the end, and it sort of had that vibe to it. And I was like, man,
you know, if you boil that movie down, someone effectively shot unsolicited nudity. I mean, he should go to jail.
Yeah.
By today's standards, that movie's abhorrent.
Right. Oh yeah. Even by by those standards.
By then, you're like,
movie.
you know, back in those days, it's like, well, webcam, what the heck?
Right. Right. Yeah.
All right, you ready to go?
All right. Here we go.
Oh, you've been filming that?
Yeah.
Oh God.
Well, it'll never be seen again, except for all the people that are watching right now.
What was her name? Elizabeth Shannon. How about that? I remember.
Very good.
Okay. Hey y'all, welcome to another action-packed episode of ARG Presents. I am Amigo Aaron, joined as always by a man who's as handsome as he is smart, John, boat of car, Schaller.
I can read.
Very Enough said. Enough said. So, if you tuned in last week to ARG, you'll recall that the wheel was spun, the deal was made, and the chat room picked this week's system. And what a choice, boat. This week, two Southern Americans are going to be playing games on the beloved ZX Spectrum, or as we call it, the ZX Spectrum, over in these parts.
Y'all.
So, we had to learn a lot about the ZX, didn't we? Despite the fact that we had one, which our good friend Gary sent us a while back, and you actually have taken this thing out for a spin, as I recall, once or twice. We've got some nice software that lovely folks have sent us.
Yeah, O'Brien's Retro and Vintage, I think, sent us some stuff, and maybe even Chris Folks.
Yeah, and we have no experience with it aside from what we got in the mail, right? So we had to do a little research to see what this thing was all about. So, of course, I'm sure this is old hat to a lot of people, but the ZX Spectrum, developed by the Sinclair Research folks, and according to the wiki and a couple other places I looked, manufactured by the Timex Corporation, which is interesting because the only entry that this unit had in America was as the Timex Sinclair 1000, I believe it was, and there may have been the 2000 or whatever. Do you remember the time? This is way back. So
I have no recollection of that other than in the Hurricane Middle School tech ed room. Yeah. I think there was a poster of a Timex 1000.
Someone was really getting crazy. I can tell you that no one bought these. I remember having, even as a young person, I remember having these things had a rep for being junky. I mean, the Timex Sinclair. I don't know what the comparison is. Doing some research, I found out the Timex Sinclair had some real compatibility issues with this ZX Spectrum, which would make it all but useless.
Right.
And when I was doing some research for our talk here, I could not find any Timex Sinclairs anyone that I knew had ever owned. So, like, I don't know anyone that ever owned one, and I'm guessing you don't either, right?
No.
So this thing was released in the UK on April 23rd, 1982. So a good ways back. And discontinued in 92. So it had a pretty good run. You know, think about it. That's a heck of a run for a system.
It is the C64 of England.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's according to what I read, it sold 5 million units, and that's not counting any of the offshoots, clones, that sort of thing. It was pretty much everyone had used a tape drive with it. Now I believe they released I want to say 3.5 inch, 3.25 inch floppy drive. So it might have been even some unusual disc that only this ZX Spectrum used. But I mean, as far as I know, it's pretty rare. I mean, we've never seen it, but I've heard about it.
I've only heard about people running tapes on their ZX Spectrum.
Yeah. The CPU in this thing is a Z80, which is a pretty common processor. A lot of arcade machines had them. 3.5 megahertz, which is that's way down there.
It's 3 times as fast as an original Apple II.
There you go. But we know which one we know more about here. Clearly, is the Apple II. So you were in the UK for a time. Did you ever run across any of these things over there?
Only one time. I was visiting one of my professors during his office hour, and we got to talking about old computers and things. And I've always been fascinated with the UK gaming scene. And he's like, "Let me show you something." So he goes to his file cabinet, and in the bottom drawer, he pulls out a boxed ZX Spectrum. He's like, "This was my Spectrum. You may look at it if you wish." So I know the reverence that people have for this particular machine and the memories that are wrapped up in it.
Now, if you look at this unit, and again, I'm guessing this is the main unit that was the one that most people had. The keyboard in this thing is kind of, if you haven't ever used one of these, it's kind of a rubbery sort of key.
It's not a membrane keyboard.
It's not. It's I don't know. It's almost like a calculator. Or I mean, I felt these are big rubbery keys. What else can you think that had these? Can you think of anything off the top of your head?
No.
The layout of these is it's not the best, is it?
It's. I feel like they just kind of crammed as many keys as they could onto that surface.
Yeah, and so if you're sitting down to go typing, you may be up to your neck in trouble. Now, I'm sure some people got to be excellent typists on this, but I mean, just from someone coming out of nowhere, it would be tough.
Now,
sledding.
You can tell that this machine was designed for the coder in mind, because not only does it have your normal keys on the buttons, but you also have a bevy of commands that go in different programming commands that are hotkeyed to the system.
It is. If you look at this, I don't know how we can get it on camera if you've never seen one. I'm sure you can find a picture. It has 4 billion words on it. I mean, it's.
There's at least 3 different things that each key can do, and sometimes even more than that.
Yeah, some of these have like 5 things. Yeah. And then they've got, on top of that, the keys have numbers or letters. Then there's other stuff on here, commands. Then there's other words. And then there's stuff above and below the keys. I mean, this is a...
They made up for the fact that you can't actually type on it by just giving you shortcuts for everything.
What do you think about it? Is this the busiest keyboard of all time?
Yes, undoubtedly.
And then what offsets all this insanity is the beautiful and lovely rainbow here in the corner.
That's right.
Which I think, in terms of aesthetics, the look, it's very pleasing, isn't it?
It's got the look.
Yeah, well, wow. It's got like your expansion in the back. I mean, it's pretty plain Jane. It's not like there's a crap load of connectors on it.
Well, and that's one of the things that made people crazy when this machine came out, is that you had to buy an adapter just to plug in a joystick. You had to buy a Kensington or I can't say it right, but anyway, a special adapter just to plug in a joystick. It's sort of the Mac before the Mac was a thing.
Have you seen the joystick for this thing? I guess there was one main manufacturer.
Boy, I don't think I've ever seen a dedicated Spectrum joystick.
It's quite an interesting little machine, and again, the size of it is attractive. I mean, despite the fact that this is that old, I mean, this is very small. I mean, and it's as small as it's packed. It's packed with goodness.
That's right.
And I think it's a very neat looking unit. So, whoops, I just dropped over everything. These things came out, and I believe by '93 they were selling these things for 125 pounds, which God only knows what that is today. And they were going to sell the Timex version in the U.S. for $220, which I'm guessing that's somewhere in the ballpark of the conversion. And they just didn't catch on over here. Again, why you would not make these compatible with the incredible library that was already available is baffling. Then again, it's not like Timex is known for their computer prowess.
Right.
So it shows you that. Now, we had a look just to see what these are going for on the eBay right now. Straight up, and what do we find, Boaster?
The ones that are selling in that are available to us U.S. customers are selling for about $100, $100 shipped. So it is still a highly desirable computer, mostly I think due to the fact that here in the States they are as rare as hen's teeth.
Yeah, and like I said, until we got this one in the mail, we'd never seen one in person, and we never touched one. So it's been great. We've had to fight and fight and fight with the video, but we always do. That seems like what we do.
That's what we do.
European stuff. So we picked a couple games to play on this thing this week, and I will go ahead and lead the parade this time around. And today we're going to go with Death Chase. Now, Death Chase, I'll be honest. I looked over a bunch. I didn't want to be biased or get thrown into something. I just want to pick a game that had a title that sounded cool. I have no prior knowledge of Death Chase. I've never seen Death Chase before this week. I'd never heard of Death Chase. So when I'm looking through the titles, I'm like, look at this, Death Chase. That sounds great. Bam, I'm in. I didn't know what it was, right? So little did I know that I was actually picking one of the most revered Spectrum games ever made. Did you know that?
No.
Had you ever heard of Death Chase? So Death Chase came out in 1983. It was published by an outfit called Micro Mega, and it was programmed by a guy, and I'm going to try to get this guy's name right, Mervyn J. Estcourt. This guy is sort of a mystery man, which I'll get into him a little bit later, but he did some games for Micro Mega. This game runs on the 16K, so that's something to bear in mind. This is a 16K game. The premise of this game is pretty simple. It's your standard fare, basically. It's a the war has happened. Society has fallen, and you are basically a mercenary. You are cruising the vast forests and in search of people to mow down to get their stuff. I mean, that's pretty much all you need to know. Go out, shoot guys. Now, when you start this game up, there's a little, I don't know, I guess you'd call it a ditty. There's kind of a really cool screen with a motorcycle and stuff. And
I like that. I like that. The opening screen is very well drawn.
Yeah. And the screens flashed. It's crazy time. And I will tell you, gentle listeners and viewers, this is one of the first times I'd ever played anything on the Spectrum. I had tried a couple things, so this was like my entry into the computer. And so this comes up, and what I'm looking at is something that looks like the front of, let's say, a speeder bike or something. And I see off in the distance some like sticks, basically. I'm like, what am I looking at here? And you hit the button, and your guy takes off. And so what you're basically looking at is you're sitting on a motorcycle, and you are driving through the woods. All right, simple premise. And you are not the hunted, you are the hunter. You are out to violently kill a couple bikers. You've got like a blue biker and a yellow biker. And the whole game is trying to shoot them. When you shoot them both, that part of the level ends.
And you're working on your night moves.
And you progress. This is one of the weird games. I'm trying to think if there's ever been a game where you were the bad guy effectively, and you could only die and the people you're hunting can't hurt you or kill you in any way. So that right there is unusual. The only thing that can kill you in this game is hitting a tree, which that'll do it sometimes. Some of my favorite people, Sonny Bono, unfortunately passed away when he hit a tree, so it'll definitely kill you. And on a motorbike at this speed, it'll definitely kill you. So on the first level, I cruised through and I knocked these guys off, and I thought, okay, it's not too bad. You don't get the feel for this game. I'll be honest. When I first loaded this up, I looked at it. I was like, this doesn't look that good. It didn't look interesting to me. I was wrong. Because the more I played it, the more I didn't want to stop playing. I played the crap out of this game all week long. There's something, there's a genius in the way this game is rendered. You've got to remember that this is a 16K game, okay? Even my Coco had 64K or 32K for the lower end ones. So this is as basic as you can go. And for this fellow to put out a game that is in 3D, which it is, the trees come at you and they look like trees and they come out and they grow like they should. It's actually quite a phenomenal feat. The drivers are the other bikes are sort of darting around, depending on how close you get to them. They're darting around in the back and you're trying to get up on them. The fact of the matter is, at first I thought, well, heck, I'll just kind of slow down. But when you slow down, you can't catch them. So you have to go as fast as you can, basically, to get to these things. Now, occasionally, something else will happen in the background. A helicopter or a tank will show up. To the best of my knowledge, as far as I got in the game, the tank and the helicopter can't hurt you.
Right. You can blow them up.
You can blow them up, but they can't hurt you. And they just sort of, just show up. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know why a guy on a bike is blowing up a tank. Which is,
he's got some very advanced weaponry on that
It seems
thing.
like you would hunt tanks.
Right.
They would have much more stuff than the bikers. The bikers you're chasing do they look like bikers to you, Boat? I mean, they look...
I thought the representation was pretty good.
It was okay.
You look at it's sort of like a road or what's the super hang-on sort of perspective.
Yeah. I couldn't quite tell if the guys that you're chasing were actually darting in and out of the trees. They're sort of up to the point where I can't quite tell, but I know one thing I like with this game is you've got the ability to move pretty much wherever you want. And it makes a difference because you can sort of see a clearing up ahead to the right, and you can kind of whip your bike into the clearing, and then you've got some space to really hone in on these bad guys or good guys earlier and take them down. Something else I learned pretty quick is that as your bike goes, so go your shots. You can once you shoot a bullet, for the little time it takes to get there, you can twist your bike to the right or the left, and the bullet will kind of, you can
steer it a little bit.
That's right. That's right.
That's an old Chinese proverb, by the way. As your bike goes, so goes your shots.
It's from Yamaha. So once you complete the first part of stage 1, you go to the night. You go to the night mission, basically, and it's the exact same game, but it's dark. Right? I think I like the night ones better. I don't know why. Maybe it was easier for me to see.
I think it's got a little more atmosphere. Sort of, it's like Night Driver,
This is, yeah, I never thought about it, but yeah, it's sort of like that. Except there's no trees in Night Driver. What's the one where you're avoiding hitting the tombstones?
Death Race.
There you go. Very similar. So once you complete the second level, which is the night one, then you go back to the light, and it just goes back and forth, and you go up a stage. I believe I think it was 8 stages, and then you eventually go back. Now, every stage becomes denser and denser with forest. That's the key to the game, really. At first, it's not too bad, but it's funny. My first game of this was probably the second best game I had because I didn't know what to expect, and so I was just loose and easy. I was just cruising down through there. Now, I've heard people say that this game is best played with the keyboard. I actually had to emulate this on my original Xbox of all things, but it played great. And used the Xbox controller, and the controller did pretty well. So I didn't get a chance to try it with the keyboard, but I've heard that that's the way to go. When you get into a level that's really foresty, you really get a sensation that you're going to die soon because these trees come out, and you have to look way down to see which way to go. And you get to a certain point in the game, at least I did, about level 5, where you give up on shooting. That's over. If you get one of them, because you get lucky. All I was doing was trying not to hit a tree. and then if a guy got into my view, I would just hit the fire button as fast as I could. But so the levels would go on forever because I couldn't get a shot without getting hit. Something else I learned pretty early on is you should always slow down when you complete a level. For at least I did, because if you're going, I like to slow down once I've shot the last guy so I can see what's going to be in front of me, because when the night comes, it picks up exactly from the point you're at. And the worst situation to be in is to be like this far from a tree, and as soon as the night comes, whack, you go right in the tree.
End, yeah.
Did you ever have that happen? Yeah. So that can be frustrating. Let's talk about the sound. The Spectrum, I don't think, was known for its quality sound, and this game has the most grating. I don't want to call it music. I don't want to call it sound. I want to call it a noise. It's a noise. In the future, your motorbike, it runs like death. I mean, it sounds horrible. And so eventually, I just turned it down pretty far. It was unbearably bad. The sound was. I mean, I'm not going to hold that against it. They were playing the hand they're dealt. Like I said, the Spectrum. I believe the sound is actually built right into the. Is it built right into the console? I played this on emulator, so I'm not even sure. Yeah. But man, what did you think of the?
Yeah, I felt whenever I play a game like this on the Spectrum, because I play a lot of Spectrum games. Yeah, I just feel so bad for the poor kid's family. You know, they bought him this thing and they can't have peace anymore because it's just, you can't turn it off.
Yeah,
it's there.
Yeah, you're right. And the thing is, this is one of those games that gets you to keep playing. I swear to you, when I loaded this up, I'm like, listen, I'm going to play this a few times. It looks real simple. I'll get the feel of it pretty quick. And I played the crap out of it. I just played the crap. It's a lot. You know what it reminded me of was when we did Drag Race way back. It's a simple game, and the concept's simple, but I just could not. Sometimes simple is good. And I just played it. It's one of those things that I would pick it up and play it. I played it quite a bit in the past week. And did I get any better? Yeah, I did. But I mean, it's a twitchy sort of game that I'm sure people are very good at it. And there may be patterns and stuff that I don't know. But I'm assuming the trees are just random. Did you see? I mean, how did you fare?
I think the trees are they're randomly generated,
right,
in some way. I did pretty okay until I died. You know, I never felt like, I thought that the difficulty ramped up in a good way.
Yeah.
I was able to get a couple rounds in before things really started to heat up, which I want. You know, I want early success in a game. I don't want to immediately be pounded into the ground.
Yeah, I agree.
And so this game is amazing. I mean, when you consider the size of the program itself and how smooth, you know, it feels.
Yeah.
When I first saw this, I didn't have high hopes. To me, you know, just looking at screenshots before I played, I was like, oh, it's like a, you know, Return of the Jedi speeder bike sort of thing. And I figured it was going to run like crap at a really low frame rate.
Yeah.
But man, this game was really, aside from the sound, was really a joy to play.
It was. And now, a little bit about the fellow that programmed it, this Escort. I would have loved to have found a interview or something with this guy, because apparently he was quite a genius in the early days of the Spectrum. But he sort of fell off the earth. He did 3 games for Micro Mega. He did a game called Luna Crabs, and he did Death Chase, and he did a game called Full Throttle. All right. I didn't play the other games. But I read that that Luna Crabs is pretty good, and that it was the first Spectrum game, according to an interview I read, that had some sort of 3D aspect to it. I can't confirm that, but that's what I read. I also read that of the 3, Death Chase was not the biggest seller, which is his game Full Throttle was their biggest seller, which I've not seen it, but apparently there's a progression from each to each that they get a little bit better. So, but Full Throttle doesn't seem to have had the impact that Death Chase did. From all accounts, this fellow was one of your bedroom programmers that had sprung up in that era. I looked up just a little bit on Micro Mega, the publisher of this. They published a lot of stuff for the spec. And some of this, again, if you're like me and you haven't played most of this stuff, it doesn't really have a meaning. Just a couple of the things, like I said, they mentioned they did the 3 games, Full Throttle, and this one. They also did Missile Man, Gulp 2, A Day in the Life, Jasper. Have you heard any of these?
No. I'm sure a lot of these things never saw the light of day outside the ZX Spectrum.
Right. And they were based on at the Lavender Hill, London. I don't know if you know where that's at.
Boy, that sounds fancy.
It does, doesn't it? It sounds nice.
Where do you live? I live over on Lavender Hill.
Yeah, what are we guys? Like, I live on Mud Mountain.
That's exactly what we've got.
not nearly the same. It's funny. This game has been remade and redone a bunch of times, and sequels, and people. The one I looked at and actually played, it was on the Atari computer. There was a version. I'm guessing this was an unofficial version because I have no way to know if they got real ones made. But someone did a version of this for the Atari 8-bits, and the sound on it's great, and it's smooth as silk. And when you turn, the trees sort of angle. But the downfall of it is it's in black and white, which is kind of strange that they would go that route. And there may be a reason for it, or maybe just a fella doing it. That's just the way he did it. But they had several pseudo sequels and stuff, and it was hard for me to tell. I don't think any of them were officially. There may have been 1 or 2 that were officially, had some sort of backing. But who can tell? And since this guy sort of was gone, and the company's been gone for a long time, so I have a feeling they were just sort of fan based or picked up. But the Atari one, it was pretty good. It ran a little faster. Being in black and white, it was a little kind of off putting.
Yeah.
So this one is not. This one's a nice color, and this one has a feeling when you really get moving. I'm trying to think what I could compare it to. It's very. It made me very nervous, if you want the truth, because there are so many trees, and you have to concentrate so hard. Have you played a game like this where you have to concentrate so hard, so long?
It really doesn't let up.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's comparable to it's like take the most intense section of a driving game and make that one section the entire game.
It's like when you pass someone on pole position in a curve.
Imagine that happening all the time.
So I looked this one up on eBay. And by the way, I should mention, this got licensed by Timex, which we talked about them earlier, for the American Timex Sinclair. And they had a great name. I wonder if I can wrote that down. It was called like Cycle Side or something like that.
Ooh,
but anyway, it failed horribly. It did not do well. So on eBay, Cycle Path. That's what it was called.
That's nothing like Cycle Side.
Psychopath, that's even better.
That Cycle Side sounds cool. It's like homicide, but on a cycle.
Psychopath, because you're a psychopath. You get it? Come on, Boat. See, that's why it failed.
That's right. They should have gone with.
So on eBay, you could pick up a copy of this in the UK with a pack of gum. Everybody's got the tapes of this thing. $8.50. Like I saw it for $8.50 and a pack of 4 other games.
Wow.
So and it's $7. Cheap as chips, as they say. You can even get a copy in the U.S. for $22. It is not Psychopath. Sadly, I could not find anyone that has sold Psychopath anytime recently. So you're not gonna get Psychopath anytime soon. This thing reviewed pretty well back in the day. Now, of course. I'm unfamiliar, among other things, with ZX Spectrum magazines or reviewing outfits. We know the Amiga ones pretty well. We know the American stuff, but I had no idea. So I just kind of looked up some various, Wait,
let me see. I bet I know. So there's your Sinclair. Do you have that one?
Yes.
Okay.
You got one.
There's Crash.
Yes, I got that one.
I think that's all I know.
That's good, Bode. So. Crash from '84. They said it was a dangerously addictive to play. They're right, and they gave it a 82. The personal computer games. All right, it's essential purchase 80. The other one you mentioned. Let's go through a few of these. Your Sinclair. They gave it a 60, and they didn't like it that much actually. They thought it was they just think it was very good. They said it was also too expensive. They thought it should be cheaper. Now this, which is funny because this
wasn't it like £5 originally?
The original price was £6.95.
Wow.
Okay, that's pretty cheap.
Yeah.
What is that, $10, something like that?
Maybe that now we know why the consoles did not take off in England, because they were complaining that their games cost.
Well, they just thought this should have been released as a budget title. I guess is what their point. Now this was re-released as a classic for £3, and the budget price was £3. So £3. What is that? $5?
That is less than many things.
You can do far worse with your $5, and then pick this bad boy up. But overall, in summary, a total freaking surprise. Again, if you look at this with modern eyes, you've got to consider the time it was put together and the incredible aptitude of the programmer to use 16K of memory to produce something that was quick, that simulated 3D, and I thought it was top shelf. I'm as surprised as I've ever been with anything we've ever done was this game, because I was ready to pound it down. I should also mention in closing, this game on some lists is regarded as the #1 ZX Spectrum game of all time.
Really?
So, yeah, color me surprised.
I don't know if I'd go that far.
No, I mean, and this isn't like Billy Joe's list. These are like big deals. This game is very well regarded. I mean, again, I'm sure people at the house are like, oh, yeah, he picked Death Chase. Everyone knows that's a household name. Well, it ain't over here. I can tell you that, brother. We had no idea. I mean, I'd heard of your game, but I just picked this one out because I thought it had a cool name.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And I'm a 17-year-old boy. So there you go, Bo. Any closing thoughts on the Death Chase?
You've summed it up perfectly.
All right, man. Take it over.
Okay, so my game was a game called School Days.
Ooh.
Okay, so this game was released by a company called Microsphere in 1984. It was released for both the ZX Spectrum and the Commodore 64. Okay, so here's a little bit about Microsphere. They started out in 1982, and this is the husband and wife team. Okay, and they noticed that there was a market for I guess they started out making business software, but they recognized the possibility of writing games, so they started coming out with games. And so they got a family friend named Keith Warrington to help them with the art. And Helen, this guy's wife, she used to be a teacher, and so they used her experience as a teacher with this too. So this game sold very well. This game sold 50,000 copies, which is pretty impressive. It garnered a sequel called Back to School in 1985, and it was also a very, very well-reviewed game. It's interesting, the Reedy family, they said that they used no compiler or assembler. They designed everything on graph paper and on pencil and paper, and then they typed in the raw, hand-assembled Z80 machine code right into the computer.
They're sharper than I am.
So that is hardcore.
Wow.
The company, went on for a while. The last game that they released was an adventure, a detective game called Contact Sam Cruise, and it did not sell well. They cite piracy as a result, which is believable. But they also never expanded their team. They had no desire to grow as a company, so they hung it up after that. So anyway, School Days. This game is quite possibly the earliest classroom computer simulation of all time.
It's got to be one of the few, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's not many. There's not many. You play a boy named Eric. However, you can change your name. You can change all of the names in this game, and you are trying to. You've got a school report due. Your grade is so bad that your parents can't see it. So what you have to do is you have to find your way into the headmaster's study and unlock the safe and retrieve your paper so your parents don't see the score. All right, so that is the main goal of the game, but there is a lot going on here. Okay, so you are placed in this school, and the school day begins, and it basically just runs forever. This is a never-ending school day.
What a nightmare.
So the normal things happen. You know, kids go to classes. There's an instructor that comes in. Learning takes place. There's free time in between. There's, you know, library time, study hall, and things like that. And your job is to negotiate your way through the school day while collecting shields that are hung up on the walls. Once you collect enough shields, then the door opens, you can unlock the safe and get your report card. Okay, so what makes this game cool is that the entire school is kind of displayed within sections on the board. So you have a 3-story schoolhouse, and the game is programmed such that the computer characters are all fully going about their business while the game is going on. So there's, I guess you could call it AI. You know, there are things going on. Even if you don't do anything, things still continue to happen in this game. You have abilities in this game. You can jump. You have a catapult that you can use to fling things at other students or other teachers. Basically what you're trying to do is you have to use that, for example, to reach some of the higher shields. You have to fire your catapult at a teacher, jump on the teacher's head and get up there and jump on their back and grab it. Now, what is in your way? What's in your way are bullies. There are teachers who are out to get you. And so these guys stand in your way. And what the teachers do is they assign you lines, okay? So this is something that I think happened a lot more in British schools than in American schools, where as punishment, you were assigned to write a sentence a certain number of times. Yeah. Now, this is definitely a punishment that I've given as a teacher before.
Yep.
But if I looked at one of my students and said 15 lines, they would give me a blank stare. Yeah. They would have no idea what I was talking about.
It's the old, I mean, I've done it on the chalkboard, and you know, I've also done it in the notebook.
Right.
It's the old Bart Simpson in the opening.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. So anyway, that is really when you do something wrong, you get assigned lines. And the game ends when you are assigned 10,000 lines.
And they do assign you some hefty numbered lines.
I think
like right away it's like 300
right,
lines.
I think 300 lines is the minimum. So you can get assigned lines for you know, firing your catapult at a teacher, of course, if you're not sitting in your seat when instruction is going on, or if you're found outside the classroom when class is in session. So when you get into a classroom, you can sit down, but there are never enough seats for all of the boys. So one of the other boys will come up against you and throw you out of your seat, and you got to get back in there before the teacher notices what's going on. It's a very charming game. It almost looks like a comic book. You know, it's like a comic strip. There's stuff written on the boards. You can write your own messages on there. There's a lot of just really neat touches. I like this game because it's totally unique. It's something different. You don't see it. You never really saw it again after school days until you got into the 2000s, and you have a game like Bully by Rockstar.
I've played a lot.
A lot of people see that as the spiritual successor.
I can see why, and I'll tell you right out of the gate, you can rename everyone, which is great. And I'm telling you, if I would have been in school and this had come along, man, I would have had a blast, because you could just name everything, the people who are the bullies, or your buddies, or whatever, and that's awesome. I had heard about this game quite a bit over the years, but it's one I never looked at. And there's a lot going on in this game. It's not the easiest game. I mean, you could just start running around, and that's what I did. I just kind of. Eventually I read about the shields, but at first I had no idea what I was doing.
So but you can have a lot of fun just running around.
First thing I did, bam, shot the good-looking teacher. That I shot him right in the hiney, and then bam, 300 lines and stuff before I'd even hardly gotten the joystick warm. It's cool to like whack people. It's cool to like the message on the chalkboard changes. The kids, there's a and I don't know how much went into this, but the kids and the teachers make their way to different parts of the school. They have their classes. They do that. It's quite remarkable. I don't know what all they did to get that to happen.
Yeah.
You know? I'd actually played the other game in this series first.
Really? Back to school.
Yeah. And I remember it because now it's been a long time, but I looked at it a long time ago, and I can't remember why. Maybe I thought it was based on the movie, but there's this school, and then there's like another school,
That's right. There's
like
a girls' school.
Yeah, and then there's like a big playground in the middle, but they're really colorful. Gosh, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on, and I was reading what you had to do to actually complete the mission. And man, it ain't easy. You got to get those shields like a couple times to actually go there and get your paper. I don't know. It looks tough. I don't know how you could ever do it. I mean, apparently it would take a good while. But I like the fact you have to get on top of other students or teachers to get some of the shields. You have to be kind of clever. There's so many intricate things in this that I had no idea what I was doing. But how far did you come along in this thing? Had you played this before this week?
No, I played it mostly a couple weeks ago when I did one of my big ZX Spectrum streams. And I played it multiple times on multiple streams because it took me multiple times to figure out what was going on.
Yeah.
One thing that really helped me was watching Kim Justice's review of this whole series. And so if you're at all interested in actually knowing about this game and not listening to two fools talk about it, watch her video because she takes care of business. This game also has a sequel or a remake that came out in '99, which is fantastic. It's called School Days '99, I think.
What was it on?
And it was on the PC. It's on the PC.
Okay.
And it updates the graphics, but they still have a cool retro look. You know, it's pixelized graphics. There's a million different things to do. I think there's dialogue in it, but it doesn't lose the charm of the original. I played that a lot. Unfortunately, it's one of those PC titles that's no longer playable on a modern PC, but you can play it through DOSBox, which is what I did. Yeah. I looked up this game on eBay. It's sold for around, I think you can get it for about £13. There are no copies for sale in the United States, obviously.
Yeah.
But it was not, I figured that I'd have just like thousands and thousands of these pop up on eBay, but there was only one that was sold recently. So it's not as common as I thought.
The tapes do not seem to retain their value like the disc. The discs do. Now, when you have a box like this, I don't know how many games got a cool box, because I know a lot of the ones that just came in little gimmicks like this, right? I mean, that's
right.
So maybe these are.
I think that the earlier games probably had more extensive packaging.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, this one is one you could probably sit down with and really kind of get in bed with and take a while to fool with it. And the sequel to this, like I said, it was really interesting. I actually, I fiddled with that a long time ago. So when I had at least some recollection of what was going on when I had to go at this one. But yeah, both are really neat.
Yeah, I really like this game a lot. I'm going to try Back to School next because I have not played that one, but I'm going to do it with with sort of a guide opening the next screen.
A wise choice.
All right. Well, that's all I have for School Days.
All right, you ready to spin the wheel and make the deal,
Let's
Mr.
spin
Boat?
the wheel.
So last week, if you'll recall, we had the chat challenge come up. So, Bud, what are we gonna get? What are we gonna get involved with this week on the wheel?
This week we are going to add a new system to the wheel. We are going to add, if you wouldn't mind holding that for me. I'm going to reach inside here, and we're going to pull out the Sega SG-1000.
Wow. Which we don't own one of these, and I've never seen one in my life.
So it's
Have you ever seen an SG-1000?
I've actually played a lot of it on the Pi.
But you've never actually seen one.
No, of course not. Of course not.
I don't know how. I guess those were released in the States. I don't even know.
I don't think it did. I
guess we'll find out when it comes
only
up.
Had a Japanese release, but
wacky.
So we're gonna set this up here.
All right, Bud, if you can do the honors, and I'll hold the gimmick here.
Let's see.
Fire it up.
There we go.
Here we go.
Oh, actually, you can see it better. There we go. Looks like, oh boy, chat, you're in luck. It is another chat
You're kidding
choice.
Me. Okay, well,
all
I
right.
hope you boys are paying attention. Who we got in the chat room?
Oh, we got all kinds of people. We got Ravi's here, Duncan's here, Dan Ross is here, Paul Harrington. So, guys, we are going to take a quick poll. Your choices are Odyssey 2, Vectrex, Amstrad, Apple II, SG-1000, Super Nintendo, BBC Micro.
I've got the envelopes right here. I'm ready to go. You tell us which one it is, and Boat, you make the final decision. They're
All right.
over.
It looks like Amstrad is the winner.
Amstrad.
So,
okay, as we're going back to the well.
Thank you to Paul, Duncan, and Edvin for.
I believe
for
John
voting
was
for
in there as well
Amstrad.
early on here. So, Bo, why don't you let me dig this out here? One of the many envelopes.
Yeah, you should have.
I didn't know what we had on the wheel. Otherwise, I would have done that ahead. Oh, here we go. The Amstrad. Okay. Well, Boat, let's see what we chose. You had the lovely that one. So, what do you got, Boat?
We're gonna play a game called Spin Dizzy.
You know, two of these I've played before, so I'm going to go with the one I've never heard of. We're going to play something called Grisor.
Oh, Grisor and
Grisor.
Spin Dizzy.
Have you ever heard of Grisor?
No, never.
All right, so there you go, Grisor.
All right, guys.
We are on Patreon, Boat, and anyone that would like to chip in $1 or $2 or a pound, if you will, feel free to float a few buckaroos our way. We always appreciate it. And if you donate a couple bucks, you can get yourself into the Discord chat. Always a good time.
That's right. The Discord's hopping 24/7.
Yes, it is. And, of course, check us out on YouTube. Check out our various accoutrements. Can you name all of our social media outlets, Boat?
We got Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Google+. We're everywhere.
We're everywhere.
And don't forget to check out our sister show, Amigos, the Amiga podcast.
Yes, sir. Always a good time. If you want to hear us play British stuff every time, as opposed to 2 times in a row. So with that in mind, next week we're going to have some Amstrad action. And until then,
Adios. All right.
Not too bad. Probably a few snippets here and there. It really was. I thought pretty well. Boy, I tell you, we're digging in again, aren't we?
Yeah.
What do you know about the Amstrad?
Well, I know that Grisor is Contra, according to UK Retro Gamer.
Is it actual Contra or a Contra ripoff?
I think
y'all?
it's probably a ripoff.
Great.
And Duncan just wrote Spin Dizzy equals difficult.
Oh,
so
God.
Awesome.
You picked that one, Boatster. Okay.
Duncan says Amstrad Action was his favorite Amiga, or Amstrad magazine. It would be weird if it was his favorite Amiga magazine.
Yeah. There you go, Mr. Boat. Lovely. I really enjoyed that. That was fun, man.
Yeah.
That was a good system. Well, you guys did it again. Chat choice 2 in a row.
That's right.
Well, I'm not surprised that we're getting all the British stuff.
It's hard to believe. Hard to believe.
Oh man, I left your monitor on over there. Shoot, sorry about that.
That's okay. We'll get it in a second.
Okay, let me get the phone of doom, and we'll be ready to go again. How'd you feel about that?
That was good. Yeah.
To go into these, it's nerve wracking to
So,
go into these systems. I have no idea anything about
You
it.
should never ask me who's going to go first again.
Yes, I know.
Just do whatever you want to do.
No, you're right. You're right. It was. I knew. I knew.
I don't care. Just don't set me up.
I wanted you to go first, dude. When I get in the flow and I'm not paying attention,
There's
all
no
bets
stopping
are
you.
off.
I know you can't see us, guys. Hold on a second. We're fixing that.
Hold on a second. I'm trying to find where I stuck my phone. I brought it in. I know that. Let's over here. There's a bunch of papers. Give me 1 second, buddy.
Is Sister Sledge, did she sing Ain't No Stopping Us Now, or is that somebody
Sister
else?
Sledge's a band.
I know, but I mean, with that band, did they sing Ain't No Stopping Us Now? I know they sang We Are Family, but are they the same band that did that?
We Are Family's the only one that I know for faux show. Sorry, my Sister Sledge knowledge is not the best.
Let's see.
Why do you ask?
I was just curious. I think about these things
That just came up and
in my mind.
Drink man. You know what's awesome?
Life.
Losing stuff just randomly.
Oh, I lose stuff constantly. I couldn't find my wallet last night.
Oh God, ain't that the worst?
Yeah.
You know, I set that phone down. I'm like, I'll just set this right here.
We're coming up on the 1-year anniversary of when that lady found your wallet on the road. Or maybe that was a couple years ago.
Let's not bring that up. Darren needs that. Oh, you said you or me, one of us set the ZX Spectrum stuff on top of it.
Oh, I did. I would just randomly set it on the table. I didn't.
Last week in the show where you was like, "Did you put that on Facebook?" And I was like, "Yep." Or on that Google Plus, that award thing. Mm-hmm. It was on there.
Yeah, I was like I said, I was looking for a different picture. Like this is the picture. Where is it?
I was watching
how would you know?
Well, that's what I didn't change that. This is what came up. Okay. I've got an additional news item I'm just going to touch on that's not in there, so
okay.
Don't panic or anything.
You know how I am when I panic.
I don't know. Sometimes you yell at me.
That's true. I do.
Okay. Yeah. I'll get back to John on that.
Man, my hair is asinine. It just looks ridiculous. I'm a ridiculous looking man.
You're as handsome as you are smart, Bo.
Well, I can read. I think.
Let me look at you.
It seems uneven.
It looks just like it always looks.
Really?
It looks exactly.
All right.
Ask them.
I think the camera's doing weird things.
You're weird. You're worried about your hair? Just be happy it's there.
Man, did you see Wilcox is on Facebook now?
When he sent me a message, I thought it was a bot. I told he sent Teresa a friend request. She denied it. She's like, I know that's not him. It was.
It is, yeah.
I couldn't believe it. Of all the times to get on when all this privacy crap's going on. And he's so super duper paranoid. All right, Bud, give me 1 minute here.
You never know. Maybe he's going to find himself a lady. Settle down.
He's a lady.
Well, maybe.
Look at this is my pose from 7 years ago. Freaking size.
That was when you were still on the mountain. You had no reason to be annoyed then.
Coming down the mountain.
I think about you on the mountain often.
I do too. What do you think? Am I in repose? What am I doing up there?
You're sitting there. You got your smokes.
I do.
You got your drinks.
Yes.
You're kicking back. You got some wrestling on.
You got a hot dog.
And you're playing City of Heroes.
Man, how did you know?
It's just whenever I feel down, that's what I think about.
That's what you. You were kind of bummed out the other night, weren't you? Did you have a rough week?
Sometimes I just have moods, you know.
You?
I know, it's hard to believe.
Hey, look, ARG's on.
Yeah.
Those guys are crazy. Let me. Oh, you got Robbie's 24/7 radio here. Have you checked that out yet?
I posted that on there.
I know you did. That's why I was asking.
Of course, I checked it out.
Gosh,
I don't just
you and
post
Fold
things
was
without
look
looking at
crazy this week. Hey, does what's up? Let me look over here because I don't have dream.
Paul thinks I should shave an Amiga logo into the sides of my head. I used to have an awesome fade.
Paul,
in the back
you are
that
a
was sort of
genius.
Similar to that. Do you ever get your baseball number carved in the back of your head?
No.
Oh, I did
Are
that
you kidding me?
constantly.
If I was going to do that, I would just I just get a picture of a bench and put back here.
That would have been an option for me as well. Oh, the radio's down this weekend. Do you not want us to bring that up on the show then, Ravi? Yeah, unavailable.
Oh man!
So I'll let everybody know that it's.
I was so excited about that. I was like,
man, I hate that we've lost the. I got to reload here. There we go. I love that picture. You think that's got to be a render, right?
Which picture? Oh
This
yeah.
picture.
I don't know. It looks awful good, doesn't it? All right, Bo. Because some of the stuff that we've got that has been put up, I don't have it over on the site yet, and I don't want to miss it because some Dreamcatcher stuff. Plus that quiz, I want to talk about that too.
Stefano, the following is not large.
What?
It says he's surprised that the Amiga has a following outside of Europe.
Oh man! Wait, we're working on it.
Yeah, little by little.
Little by little, my good friend. Remember that song?
John thinks I should go straight cornrows with my hair. I don't
Really?
know how that would be possible.
That'd be one cornrow.
Yeah.
That's all there would be.
More like corn straw. You know?
Bo, you're gonna have to help me on some of this stuff that
that you posted.
No, I didn't post any of this stuff. That's why I'm asking. Because there's been some stuff like
Dreamcatcher. Yeah.
He's got Nightbreed, which we didn't talk about. He's got.
Well, here's the thing. Whenever I catch up on my site news, I always go to the Google Plus page first. So if it's not posted on Google Plus, then I never think to go on everything Amiga.
We
need to get Dreamcatcher to start posting on Google Plus.
Well, no, I mean I feel it's my responsibility. I've dropped the ball. I'll eat it, but I mean I've been getting hammered here.
I understand.
All right, we'll figure it out. I'm just gonna get down to the list after I do the news, and I'll get down to the list of what's on the site. Wham Bam Bob's Your Uncle. If we talked about it again, all you got to do is just go like make one of these, just right across the cheek.
Right across
Try
the
not to
cheek.
hit the glasses.
No, I would never hit a man with glasses.
Are you kidding me? A couple times I thought you were just gonna start laying into me, like clubbering with two fistuses, as Dusty Rhodes would say.
Man, who is better, Dusty Rhodes?
Don't say Abdul or I'll punch you.
No.
Don't say Zeus
No.
either.
Or King Kong Bundy?
Dusty Rhodes.
Really?
Dusty Rhodes, he's drawing money all over the world for years.
Bundy
He's
didn't?
dead now. Well, Bundy drew some, but not like Dusty Rhodes. Come on, man. Bundy was a better wrestler. How's that? Okay, Boat. Take it to the house, son.
Okay.
I didn't pour me a drink this week.
You
It
want
shows
to?
you I'm tired. It's too late now. The deal is...
It's
the
not
diet-
really.
the-
I mean, it's literally 5 feet away
No,
from
no.
you.
I got to get up. I got to de-mic.
Okay.
I noticed last week that at the end of the first show, I just got up. And so my ass is probably displayed as I'm juking it.
Yeah, I tried to sort of not make you do that, but you were already gone. You had to use the facilities. So.
I always forget that you're going to do that asinine after the show where we just sit and chat. I'm sure people think people are probably like rhubarb, but
No.
every time ever I've forgotten about it, and I did then, I did today too.
Well, I think that I cut off the thing. I'm going to have to put in our little banter from the beginning of the show.
We'll just
I think
gonna put it in.
yeah,
This is what post production takes you 4 hours.
that's right. Because, like I said, I've got this list of things that I have to do, and
Oh,
I
my
always
God.
forget.
Buddy, this is all you. Do you have anything we need to go over? You got feedback?
I got all
mail?
kinds of stuff. I'll handle it until the game.
Okay. What
No,
about
I
the
won't.
news?
No, I won't.
Oh.
That's a total lie. I'll handle it until the
Remember,
news.
right? Just I'll turn slightly, just whack right there. I'm ready. Let's go for it.
Okay.
Let's go. Give it some time.
All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Amigos. I'm John.
And I'm Aaron.
And today we're going to talk about hired guns.
No. Stop this.
Did you really do Soccer Kid?
Yeah, I thought Soccer Kid
We
was
said
this
we
week.
said at the end of the show last week that we were. Oh man, we're in trouble. I mean, we're really not.
I did Soccer Kids. I thought Soccer Kid was this week. I thought
So
Hired
you
Guns was next week.
You didn't play any hired guns?
No, I played Soccer Kid.
All right. Well,
What? I could have sworn you said Soccer Kid was
I
this
probably
week.
did. I probably did. But on my paper it said
Because you remember at the end of the show, you're like, Soccer Kid. I was like, ooh, soccer. I could be high.
No, you're probably not. Because Chris told me the same thing. Hold on a second. It won't take long.
We're done Soccer Guns.
Well, that's
and
good.
Hired Guns.
Soccer Kid, Amiga.
Is that Mr. Miyagi?
Of course it is. That's all I watch is martial arts videos on YouTube.
Really? Mr. Miyagi wasn't much of a martial artist. Well,
Yeah.
Mr. Miyagi was.
Mr. Miyagi.
Why did you let up the long play for Soccer Kid?
This is part of the list, man. This is what you do.
No, wait. I thought you were looking to see what we were actually supposed to play.
No. We gotta do this.
So we're going to cover both these?
No, we're not gonna touch hired guns. We'll do that next week. We'll do Soccer Kid next.
You hated it, didn't you?
We're still streaming, man.
I know. I know you told me. Is this the first time this has ever happened?
Yeah. I got mixed up.
This is why you shouldn't have your computer and stuff near an open bar. This is
That's
the exact
true.
reason.
That's true.
What's astounding is I'm the one that got it right. Considering I'll go first. I couldn't remember 3 minutes later. The 3 minutes went by. I totally botched it.
That's all right. Sometimes you just get on a roll.
Good thing you've played Soccer Kid a ton of times.
Yeah. Well, we played it in Amigathon.
Oh, I know. That's how I knew I wasn't going to hate it. Otherwise, I would have screamed last week when you said Soccer Kid.
Well, so yeah, chat. Good times.
We dumb. What was it you said? You're smart as you are handsome. I can read.
All right, let's go in here.
Soccer Guns.
This is
Now
easily
that's a
fixable.
game.
Go
Soccer Guns. Sensible. What was
here.
that? Sensible Soccer. Sensible Fodder or whatever.
The
Crossover. Let's just review Waxworks again.
soccer.
That
Yeah,
went pretty
one more
well.
time. And then
I've got some new perspective this week. This is like seeing the magic happen right before me.
You're
I'm just
seeing
watching
it. You're seeing it.
Just gonna leave all this in the show when we when you release it. Just us having a mental collapse right there at the beginning and then us searching for stuff. That'd be awesome.
Let's see, Soccer Kid, 1993 Chrysalis. At least I didn't have to change the year. Chrysalis.
What's up, Pix?
Did I spell that right? Oops. Sure did, I think. Yep.
I like the fact that they've got a little butterfly. I think that's lovely.
And then we go here and a little bit of this. Perfect. Now we just need to change the video, which hopefully it's done downloading. It is.
Watch any baseball this week?
I just the highlights from the Yankees and Red Sox fight.
How'd that go?
Like every baseball fight.
Hopefully they both beat each other into a bloody pulp and both teams are disqualified.
Disbanded.
That would hurt my feelings. Did you hear that the White Sox game that night drew 900 and some fans? Well, they rescheduled it and it was 32 degrees.
Oh my gosh!
But they showed the stadium.
900 fans. That's crazy.
900 fans went to see the White Sox, and they were playing I think they were playing one of the Florida teams, Tampa Bay. I think so it was.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, so that's a real winner.
Florida teams are the death of baseball.
Yeah.
Hey, we got Alex Smith now. Did you hear about that?
Big deal.
And RG3's back, baby, with Baltimore.
Yeah. How many rings does the Smithster have?
All right.
Anything else you'd like to add before we fire it up?
Well, hopefully we've chosen the right game.
That's it. Someone stole the trophy. Disaster. Let's try it again, Boat.
Okay.
This time with feeling.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Amigos. I'm John.
And I'm Aaron.
And this week we're going to talk about Soccer Kid.
Oh, great.
It's going to be awesome. But before we dive into Soccer Kid, we got some mailbag feedback. We got a message from our buddy Tom, a.k.a. Deckard Threepwood. Tom says, absolutely love the show. You two are genuinely great characters.
Whoa.
I've never received a higher compliment.
I'm not sure how I feel about being a character.
Whenever I'm in my car, the Amigos podcast goes on.
Beautiful, man. Wow. Be careful out there.
Please keep up the great work. Sometimes, like you guys, some of the games you cover I've never played or heard of, and it's awesome to listen to you review and check them out. On a recent episode, you talked about setting up Workbench on a CF card. I, too, have spent many painful days trying to get to the bottom of it, but now I have a winning formula. So when we get to the news section, I've posted his PDF and video tutorial of how to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Beauty.
And he says, hopefully get to check out your show live sometime soon. Signed, Tom, a.k.a. Deckard Threepwood from Leeds in the UK.
Right, man.
He's a supporter of Sheffield United Football Club, the Steel City, my hometown in England. And he's also an Amiga fan. He's got that down there, too.
Beautiful.
So,
hey, obviously.
Yeah. You got to support
What do you think about people
United.
that are there? He's rolling through Sheffield in his Cadillac or whatever, and he's got us blaring over the stereo. Can you imagine that? He's got your singing. Your singing's coming out of this caddy as he cruises down the street. Holy smokes.
We're making Sheffield
Stay
proud
out of the bad parts
that.
of town, dude. Good Lord.
All right. So, let's go to the news, Aaron.
All right, good. Okay, so let's jump right in. First thing I want to talk about is I got a little bit of feedback, and I thought we'd go over, but it's sort of newsy feedback.
Okay.
You know our good and dear friend, the Slow Norris.
I know about the Slow
Big
Norris.
fan of the Slow. So, last week we had John and we were talking about using the Salon Care 40, the big bottle of hair stuff. And John, the Slow Norris, told me, he's like, listen, he goes, this stuff works, but there's one caveat.
Uh-oh.
Do not use on painted badges. The little Amiga badges.
Yeah.
He said he did one of his upon washing all the paint off on his A1000. The badges were janked, totally jacked up, no dice. He cried, he says, and I believe him. I think he literally cried because that's what I would do. So
that's a sad thing, Slow.
Here's the thing. So what do you do with these badges? You pull them off if you can, maybe. Or I guess maybe you could tape over them, but boy, you're risking it. You're getting this a little risky.
Yeah, I would probably go with a tape just because I think that you might injure the badge more trying to pull it off.
You're right, which I'm happy to have the lovely metal badge. But it is something I hadn't thought about. And
you do have a spare SCOM badge.
That's right. I
should anything
badged
go
out
right.
the yin yang, brother. So let's talk about the Nizoos here. So our good and dear friend, Duncan Styles,
The Dunkster.
the man with the plan, has a quiz up this week on our everythingamiga.com, and I've shared it on multiple frameworks of our various social networks. I took this quiz. I did pretty darn well, I might add. I started out well and then took a header on it. Tough quiz. It's on video game bad guys. Did you have a look at this quiz yet,
I have
Bo?
not taken the quiz yet.
You will tank, sir. I challenge your knowledge of Amiga bad guys. And I will admit that on some of these I got lucky, and on some of these I didn't get lucky, I might add, but I did okay. Double digits. Can't remember if I got 10 or 12. I'm watching you. Bo is literally taking this as we speak. And let's see how he does. And he's off to a roaring start here. I will say I like the quiz. It's there's no baloney, no sign up for this. Just going to play it. Free, fun quiz over at the site. And some of these guys are obscure, to say the least. And like I said, some of them just sort of guessed based on what they looked like. So while you're finishing that up, Boat, I'm going to cruise on down here.
All right.
So, and Boat, here's one you put up. So I'll let you talk about it here when you finish up your calamity here. Man, what did you say you do for a living, Boat?
I definitely don't play Amiga.
School teacher? Holy smokes. Get the second red pen out.
Oh, man, I knew that one.
My God. Have you gotten in? There you go. You finally got one. Okay, here's the final. Let's see what he finally gets here. 5 out of 16.
Boy.
Wow. What do you do in your spare time? Amiga podcast host. Holy smokes. Boat, take us through, since you posted this, the compact flash card reader on your Amiga, and we know that Threepwood's Thrifts show you how.
All right, so this is from our buddy that just sent us this
Yes.
this message from Leeds. He has there's a ton of video tutorials out there, but he actually has this PDF here that shows you step by step, and I guess he has a video guide as well, which I also posted. But it takes you step by step through, the hardware, all the required software. There's links to everything in here,
man.
which is very handy. This is very, very, very well done. As you know, this is not an easy project to undertake. There are many steps involved,
Yes.
and he has done an excellent job. So thank you, Threepwood's Thrifts, for putting this together, and it will live in, not infamy, just in famousness on the G Plus page forever.
I had a look at this thing, and again, where was this thing a few months ago or a few years ago when I was struggling through this nightmarish thing? It's probably not nightmarish to someone that's a real super duper brainiac, but for us poor,
Common
sapperoos,
folk.
yeah, we need a PDF. So that's a good gimmick. So our good friend Chris Folds, or as you call him, Chris Folds, posted an interesting little gimmick here. Looks like there's a big update coming to Super Skid Marks.
This
very
is
soon.
not even super. It's
Holy
epic.
smokes! Look at how awesome that looks, dude.
Yeah. Well,
Man, that looks great. I like this game. And now this is clearly this is going to be on your PC, presumably. Right?
yeah. This is running. It looks like it's going to run on your web browser. It's going to be a web-based deal.
No kidding.
How cool! I love watching those. Oh man, that just looks like a whole lot of
That
fun.
looks great. And plus,
Yeah.
I like the fact that
And now let's move on to our Mark Zuckerberg coverage for the day.
Vote is a dangerous man today with the mouse. So anyway, if you're into skid marks, keep your eyes open. And who ain't, right? I don't know. We're going to talk about. Did we decide to talk about this, Bo?
Yeah, we're going to talk about this.
Go ahead.
So this is our good and dear friend Ravi Abbott has just recently started up an Amiga 24/7 radio station on YouTube. These live radio stations on YouTube are all the rage, and I must admit that I listen to them quite often myself.
Indeed.
And who wouldn't love? And it's currently unavailable. He is in the process of bringing it back up. So by the time you hear this, it will be back up. Go to our G Plus page and load it up. I listened to this for a while, and I am not a fan of what they call the Eurodance trash. I know that's frequently what you refer to it as.
No, sir. I am a fan of that.
But these are actually quality mods. These are hand-picked. Ravi picked these out, and I was digging them, man. I loved it. I listened to this thing while I was doing some computer work, and it's a great way to make the hours fly by.
You know, I've got a huge stash of mod files that I kept from the old days. So I've got probably, gosh, 30 discs full of these things, and I break them out. And man, I love it. I can't get enough of it, and I love it. And the fact that there's going to be 24/7 music, outstanding. Ravi is the man, the legend for the Retro Hour, and this is going to be a quality deal. And I can't wait to see it go full time. I was reading, someone had asked him on what, I can't remember where I read this, but if he was running it on Amiga. He said not yet, but he hopes to someday. That would even be better.
Yes, absolutely.
To run it on Amiga. So, but still, it's awesome. That is going to be great. So that's definitely something that's going to be in the back. I'm going to make my coworker listen to it for a week straight and see if I can convert him over to computer music. So far, I haven't had much luck. This is something I didn't put up because it's just your usual fare, but I'm going to mention it. The new beta's out for WinUAE. Always a good time. And I haven't read exactly what they did to it, but it's usually bug fixes and the like. So if you're following that stuff, it's out. Go grab it now. So let's roll over to what we're doing on the site. A few other things that we've got cooking here. And you stop me if we've covered these before because I don't.
Stop me.
Our shows the last couple weeks have ran together for me. So first one out of the gate here. Did we talk about this Running Man YouTube video script here from Dreamcatcher? Have you had a chance to fiddle with this?
I don't think that we've covered this before.
I don't think so either. So if you know Dreamcatcher, enough said. He is he does the deep work. He always does a good job. I haven't even got to look at this yet. This popped up. We've had some computer outages where I work, so I haven't got to.
Oh, I see. What this is that he's basically taking the transcript of his video that he did on the Running Man.
Is this
the
one
that
we
a couple weeks ago?
Oh, okay. So I think I did have. So is this what we've got standing by?
Right.
Yeah,
right.
I did have. Yes.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, so
this will be something.
Yeah, Dreamcatcher has fully moved into the world of the audiovisual.
Yes.
And so, but if you want to read the text-based version of that video, then you can do that there.
Did you do any streaming this week, Bode, at all?
I did no streaming this week, unfortunately.
No, I will be. I will. This is a coming soon. Of course, by the time this airs, you better watch it on YouTube. But for the people that are actually in the chat room, I've got a guest. Crazy Leroy is coming to town this weekend, and we're going to go see some hardcore idiot wrestling tomorrow night. And
is it really hardcore?
Oh yes.
Oh,
the
wow.
IWA.
Is this the same outfit that you went to see over in Charleston?
No, but some of the same dudes are going to be on it. But Leroy's coming to town, and then on Saturday night, midnight, the midnight special. Me and Leroy are going to go through the rest of the Amiga fighting games that I didn't get the first time around, and then we're going to break into just some straight-up arcade fighting games. You can watch me just pummel the crap out of Leroy while we drink booze and
sounds
just
great.
beat him down. And if we drink enough booze, I may just turn the camera on and I may just physically start wailing on him right there in the room. Depends on how annoying he gets. So if you're into that sort of thing, that stream will be coming up. I'm aiming for about 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I know that's like the middle of the night in the UK, but hey.
It'll be archived forever on YouTube.
It'll be archived. Well, unless something bizarre happens where I end up killing me right there in the middle of the floor. I think that's about all we've got. You got anything else you want to pick up while we're thinking about it?
There is one more thing. Jones sent us this from the Old School Game blog, and this I am not 100% understanding what's going on here, but I wanted to mention it. So I think this is some sort of a voting system for Amiga demos, like choosing the best ones. I put a link to the Old School Game blog here, which leads to another link where you've got a ballot, and you can fill out. I guess the demo scene is alive and well on the Amiga, and if you are knee deep into this stuff and you've watched at least 5, you can vote on best coder, best old school effect. So if this is your bag, this is the place to go. So again, this is from the old school game blog, you can check out the link on our G Plus page.
I sincerely feel like less of a person for not being more into the demo scene. I mean, I enjoy them when I see them, but it's not something I've delved into.
Right.
I would kind of like to get into it, but I certainly couldn't fill out a ballot on it.
Yeah.
I don't know what's new and what's not. I can't even tell half the time.
All right, Aaron, it's time to dive into the world of Soccer Kid.
You know, before we start this little look, as you know, I am a huge fan of soccer.
You can't stop watching it.
It's true.
The Premier League's Bundesliga.
That's right. I love it. I watch it every day. My favorite team is, you know, they were great. And so I was really looking forward to some Soccer Kid action. Now, we had a cup of coffee with this during the crazy Amigos marathon that we did for charity. And when was that, Bo?
Last June.
Was it June, really? And but we had a lot of cups of coffee that day.
We did.
But this one, I remember thinking, oh boy, Soccer Kid, here we go. And I remember thinking, well, it's not too bad. So when it popped up on the radar, I was actually looking forward to it. I'm turning the corner, you know. We're not in the darts area, or we're not into that.
Snooker.
But, you know, we're not into snooker, but I do enjoy playing soccer games, and since this is I don't know what you call it, platformy type deal.
This is not a soccer simulation.
It's not?
Spoiler.
So if I just kick a soccer ball and I can't defeat people, that'd be awesome. So Soccer Kid, this was released in 1994, and published by an outfit called Chrysalis, and I believe they also did the work on it. One thing I like is one of those games that comes up and it's got like 4 or 5 flags for different languages, so you've got a bunch of different languages there. French, German, Italian, and Spanish. All the big soccer countries there. So I looked over at the people that worked on this, and it's a lot of stuff that we've never covered. I mean, there wasn't a huge team that worked on it. The musician was a guy named Matt Furness, which I'd heard of. He did Badlands and Hard Drive and a couple others we've covered. But I think pretty much most of what was on the other fellas did, which the artist and the coder was Nigel Little, and the graphics guy was Paul Dobson, whose name I've heard, but I don't think we've covered any of his stuff. So I didn't know much about this outfit. It's very unusual for us to not see the same people over and over. Mm-hmm. So that's always kind of refreshing. Now, I played the CD32 version of this, and I also played the ECS version. I played them both, and I liked it. Of course, the CD32 version I had, it didn't get the music, so I had to go back and kind of check out what the music sounded like. I guess it had CD music on it, so that didn't come along when I was playing that rip of it. This actually got converted. I didn't know this, and I was surprised. Now, get this, Boat, and we got to try this out. This got converted over to the 3DO.
Oh, we definitely need to try that out.
Right? The GBA, right? And then it got a report to the Super Nintendo, but it was the U.S. version of it was called The Adventures of Kid Cleats.
Yeah, I had heard of that before. I never played it, but yeah.
Did you know they were the same game?
I did not know that at the time. After we played this on Amigathon, I figured that out.
Now, what do you prefer, Soccer Kid or The Adventure of Kid Cleats?
Boy, they're both pretty dumb.
Well, I didn't expect you to say that.
I would probably go with The Adventure of Kid Cleats. Soccer Kid is just about as generic as you can get for a name.
I thought it was okay.
Okay.
And one thing, and I'll tell you why. Now, again, I'm not a soccer guy, but this game embodies all the love and fandom that is soccer. And the Soccer Kid goes around. He's representing soccer, for God's sakes. He's getting the cup put back together. It's okay to like completely mark out and call him
getting the cup back together. We're on a mission from God.
That's right. So, what is Soccer Kid? Well, good question. It's a platformer, right? Mm-hmm. It's also a platformer where you have a soccer ball and you kick the ball around and do stuff with the ball.
Right.
Right. It seems like a simple concept, but the soccer ball adds an element to this game that is unique. Mm-hmm. I can't think of any other game that I've played of this type where you have to play it like this. And I'm interested to see how you played it, because when I played it, I had to adjust my play style to get anywhere into a weird. This is the anti-Sonic. How about that? So you're a kid in this game. The premise of it is, bad guys have came down and they basically took the cup, and it got split up, and you have to go and collect all the pieces of the cup. You run around and with your soccer ball, and you try to defeat enemies, jump over pits, and jump up in trees and stuff. And you use your ball to defeat enemies. You also can use it to collect stuff with. So you could kick, if there's a row of collectibles, a la Super Frog, just about 20 of them, you just kick your ball and the ball will go through them and you get them.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty handy, right? So what makes the game wacky? Well, a bunch of stuff. You can jump on the ball, and you can jump, it lets you jump higher.
Mm-hmm.
You can roll around on the ball. Now, as I talk about these things, do not for a moment think that I was doing this stuff because my abilities with the ball were limited. All right, and I tried like gangbusters to get better with it, and I could do some stuff, but a lot of stuff I couldn't figure out. So the first stage is a good example of how the game flows. And I will admit, I got, believe it or not, and there's no cheats for this game. There are no cheats. I was very fortunate in the version of this I have had save games of every level. That's the only reason I got to see this game in person, was to go through and play the different save games, and I would get smashed. But just on my own, I got to like the end of the middle of the second stage.
That's about as far as I got too.
I did, and it took me forever and I had to use save states, I'm not gonna lie, to get past the first boss. And I'm not sure what the pattern was. Maybe you can tell me what it was, because I just kind of got lucky.
I pounded him with the ball.
Yeah,
that was my pattern.
Thanks for that hot tip. So, what makes this game interesting? Well, your guy. Let's just picture your guy running along the sidewalk. Here comes a bad guy. Right? It doesn't matter. Sometimes they're on skateboards. Sometimes they're on bikes. Sometimes they're dogs. Sometimes they're big guys that are walking around. You have to whack them with the ball to kill them. Okay. Some of them take multiple hits. So if you're zipping along and all of a sudden here comes a skateboarder at you, you're not going to have time to hit him twice with that ball before the skateboard comes. So what I learned to do was to just kick the ball forward over and over and over and kind of run up to it as best I could. If you lose the ball, you can hold your button down on your joystick and then the ball will reappear. But I think there's a point deduction or something for that, or something happens in the long run where you don't necessarily want to do it. But I did it over and over and over because I would lose my ball everywhere. It's as if when you are out in the street and you just kick your soccer ball. It happens as often as it would happen in the real the funny
city.
thing in this game is, since the ball is your weapon, picture if you had a sword. If a sword is your weapon, this kid just is tossing his sword everywhere, and so the sword doesn't come back. You have no weapon for the time it's gone, and here comes a goof.
It's very similar to the game that we played last week on ARG.
How do you figure?
It's Mr. Dew's ball.
Well, this doll's not as wacky as Mr. Dew's ball, but I mean, the people coming at you, they come at a speed that you can't not have the ball. And so when I said it was the anti-Sonic, in Sonic you just zip through the level as quick as you can. Man, I was inching through these levels at a snail's pace, trying to make sure I didn't run into these people, because if you're not paying attention, you could run right into them. It's also got these dadgum spiked pits all over the place, and that's another pain in the butt. The dog that runs out is annoying. He's small, and there are plenty of obstacles to hose you. You can, in some areas, you can get into like a sewer or a secret room or whatever. Then you got another problem. You got these darn rats that are down there, and they're super small, and the ball can bounce over them or whatever. So you got to be real careful killing those things too. I also got to a few points that and early on when I didn't know what I was doing, where I just couldn't get out of an area because I didn't know about hopping on the ball, which you have to sort of master all these skills, don't you? I mean, really, to progress to any great length, you have to sort of know how to bounce the ball up in the air. You'll be attacked by birds and stuff, and you have to sort of kick the ball up. So your guy, if you hit the button and pull up, the ball will sort of bounce. Your guy will sort of, what they call that, knee of the ball. Is there a name for that?
Knee.
Is there a soccer name, or is it just that's not what it's called?
I have no idea.
Well, I'm asking you. You don't know anything about soccer either. But eventually, your guy will knee the ball, and you can kick it straight up, or you can give a big super whack and kick the ball across the screen. you have to learn these things to go any distance, which I did okay, I thought, for a newbie, on it. So the game is split up into like different countries where your ball, went. You've got England, and then and at the end of the English level, it's funny because when I first played this, I thought they were making fun of American football, but it's a big rugby guy. It looks like a football. You have to kick him enough times with the ball to kill him. And like I said, we beat him. He was the only boss I could actually get to beat. So, but you've got England. It's got some of the background. I guess it sort of looks, it's okay. It looks pretty good. You were in England. You think it looked like England, the backgrounds and stuff.
It had that sort of overall dreariness that is so indicative of the city center of many cities in the north.
Oh man.
Ravi Abbott in the chat says that the kneeing action is called a keepy uppy.
The keepy uppy. Well, why did I know that? So then you've got Italy. And you've got some dudes on mopeds that come at you.
It's a very international, very continental game.
Now Russia, of course, all these levels I got to play a little bit of, and then I got smashed.
I wish I would have known about the stage select. That would have made it a lot of fun.
Well, I don't know if you had or not. So Russia, again, I had saved games. The only reason I got there. Russia's tough, and it's the snow level. And and when you get the red square at the end, you've got the. I would love to have seen these guys. The Russian gymnasty assassins.
Wow!
So that's pretty cool.
Gymnasty assassins.
Then you got Japan, and at the end you're at the factory when you got to go after the sumo wrestler. In the USA, you've got what do you?
Just real fat people.
I think so. You got an American football player. There he is.
There he is.
I knew one had to be around.
I wonder
somewhere.
if it's just a palette swap with the rugby guy.
Well, I mean, I thought the rugby guy was an American. I was like, why is this guy in London? But that explains it. The rugby guy. You can pick stuff up as you go to aid your quest. I mean, it doesn't aid it much. If you get a clock, you get extra time. Hearts give you extra stamina, and then you can get a thing that gives you more. It gives you more heart containers, and you can also get something to refill your energy. You can get this T-shirt that makes you invulnerable, right? The problem with that is you still have to traverse the level. I never got much out of being invincible. I mean, it made it go quicker for a few seconds, but it didn't.
Yeah,
I didn't think it was
unless you happen to get it at just the right time.
And then you've got boots that give you extra speed. One of the things you pick up are these little cards. They're like I guess they're like soccer playing cards.
Yeah, they're like playing cards, or I mean trading cards.
Yeah, and you get so many. Did you ever actually get all of them for a level? I didn't either. But I think that's a cool element. And one thing this game does do is it promotes exploring a level. I did find some secret areas. I found some places that hidden door in walls you could go through. There are places where you'll see something. It's your classic platformer gimmick where you can see the thing. How do I get up to it? I climb up in a tree or whatever. I enjoyed the game. I thought the sound on the ECS version was good. I actually didn't see a ton of difference between the two versions. I know on the CD32 version, something tells me they did the bare minimum to convert it.
They didn't give you the second button?
Well, I did not have extra buttons. And I also, the only difference I saw really was that in the in-between rounds where the guy leans on the disc, in the CD32 version he leans on a CD. So there's that. Something else you can do is actually change your guys' colors. In the beginning, you can change. So I guess you could.
Do you know what they call a soccer uniform in England?
A uni? I don't know.
No, that's what they call a college.
Oh, I saw. Oh, what's it called?
A kit. KIT.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You get your kit. Your
okay, well,
kit.
Fair enough. Well, my kit, I went with the jet black.
Ooh.
Black shorts, black pants. Is there a team that wears that? Because I think the refs wear that, don't they? So my guys are.
I'm sure there is a team that wears black. I just don't know about soccer.
I always went about there's a tutorial thing, which I didn't ever do, but I saw it in the options. It does let you save your game, which is helpful. I noticed that you can input your name with the keyboard, which always bugs me. You have to use the joystick.
Yeah,
that's usually a bad sign. I think this game would have done well with more buttons. I know you've heard that before. To me, doing all the stuff you need to do with the one button was sort of a hassle. I think this game has way too many collectibles. I know I've said that before too. They're everywhere, and eventually I just stopped caring about them and just didn't bother even going after them because I was just trying to get past the level. There are some parts they'll put collectibles at the very end of the level, and you can see the end flag. So I'm like, screw this. I'm just leaving. I don't want to worry about, because your lives are much more valuable than the goodies. I never, and even the special goodies didn't make me feel like they were that special. So I'm thumbs down on the goodies. I don't know what it is about these games having too much stuff. I mean, just every game we play, there's just all that. Now, this is not the worst offender, but there's still a lot of stuff that you have to collect. But I mean, I guess that's I don't know. I guess that's just the carrot they put on the end of the stick. Like I said, some of the enemies were difficult for me to kill. The game is not. I thought the first level wasn't super hard.
It ramps up really quick.
But the bad guy at the end was really tough. And Soccer Kid, without jumping on the ball, doesn't jump real high, and so I couldn't jump over that guy. And I wasn't good enough with the controls to manipulate my guy to be bouncing on the ball or doing his cute tricks. I had trouble with that. So the controls sort of hampered me. What did you think about it, Bo?
Well, I feel like this is one of the better platformers that we've played. I think the ball gimmick, I think you're really underrating the ball gimmick. I think it's a style of play that really rewards mastery. I feel like there are probably people out there that really know how to handle the ball, and you can really do some awesome stuff. You jump up there, you use it as a trampoline, then you get back down and you kick it at something that comes, I think I really like that, and I think it's handled as well as it can be given the controls they were given. However, I think the game is just too hard. I think you should be able to get through at least a couple stages without really having to break a sweat, just to enjoy the game before it really gets hard.
I appreciate what the ball brings. I really, in some ways, this reminds me of RoboCod, and not in gameplay, but it's an interesting gimmick.
Yeah.
Right?
It's that's a good comparison.
RoboCod had that wacky gimmick, and this has and it's a good gimmick.
Right.
But I mean, it does change it, and this is not necessarily a bad thing. To me, it made it slower. The game plays very slowly because I was so acute in looking at what's coming up, because stuff could just walk right up on you and you can get caught with your pants on. Now, maybe if I was a better ball handler, I would not have as much danger, but I always felt like I was in danger. So I was always sending that ball out.
I think it was a big mistake to make so many enemies take 2 hits to kill. If you could just bounce it off the guy, and especially if it would bounce right back to you, you could really feel like you're making some momentum happen. It would feel a lot tighter.
Some of the enemies are pretty funny. You've got these old, I don't know what they are in the city, just some kind of goof. And then you've got these old farm guys, the people they reminded me sort of like the art on Monty Python, sort of. They're kind of wacky, big, way bigger than the Soccer Kid. Guys. And they were amusing, and you're also going around, you're bonking like sheep and goats, all kinds of crazy stuff.
The game
is
very pretty. It's a very pretty game.
Yeah, it's a good-looking game. It's got the background's nice. They don't go with the just flat background. There's stuff going on back there, which is nice. I like the fact that there's a checkpoint halfway through, thank God. There's tons of secret stuff, and I came across some of it, and I watched a few videos of people playing that were better than me to see what they were doing. People that are really good with this game can do some really awesome stuff with the ball. It makes it look like a lot more fun.
Exactly.
And I'm sure given more time to fiddle with it, I use as I've been using, I use the Amiga CD32 pad to play this most of the time when I wasn't playing on the emulator. And it worked well, but again, I was disappointed that, I couldn't do it. Didn't help me, to perform any better. What did you think about did you think there were too many collectibles?
To be honest with you, I think at this point I'm just immune to it, because every platformer on the Amiga has a billion things to collect. As long as it doesn't hinder me in any way, unless they're making me collect so many of each thing. I think that was the problem with maybe it was Rough and Tumble or something like that, where you couldn't advance unless you collected enough things. I guess Super Frog is like that too. It doesn't bother me. They're there, but you're free to ignore them. I would rather have too many collectibles and to me, the care that they put into the enemy design outshone any bad feelings I had about the collectibles. It was so nice to play a game where there was a variety of enemies. They were all drawn very humorously.
Yeah, yeah. And now, as far as the level design goes, and like I said, I had a cup of coffee with most of the levels to as far as I could get. There was a couple I could actually get to and beat like the first part of the level, so I got to go into it pretty deeply. I thought it was okay. This game would be difficult to design, in my opinion, due to the ball part of it. It really does add a different level to it, and I wasn't offended by the levels. I mean, I didn't think it's not like they lured me in and I couldn't get enough. I thought they were okay. I hate spike pits and stuff, and also, of course, you get to a point pretty early on where you have to use the ball to jump on to get around, and I had trouble doing that, so that made it kind of tough for me.
I appreciated the linear progression of the levels. It wasn't a Turrican-like thing where I found that I was getting lost a lot. This is much more akin to a Japanese-style platform.
Yeah, yeah. You're not. This is not a. I mean, you can explore, but you're not going to go crazy.
Right.
With trying to explore the different areas. It's not that. It's not that bad. I do also like the aspect that you kick off every time you have a new guy come up or you start a different level. That's sort of funny. There are various platforms that are sort of like. Mario has like a stack of blocks where you can jump on the bottom and you can kind of keep jumping up them. They're kind of like. It's like a pseudo 3D, I guess. They don't look 3D, but you can kind of go up. So there were some aspects of that you've seen in other games. But really, I will say as far as this sort of game on the Amiga, this is a pretty unique game. And the fact that it got ported to a lot of stuff doesn't surprise me. Apparently, the Amiga version was the premier version. So I thought that was pretty neat. Overall, thumbs up for me. I enjoyed it. Something I failed to mention is that I also like the end where when you finish a level, it gives you like a big digital scoreboard.
Yeah.
And yeah, just like that. And your guy hangs out underneath the scoreboard doing tricks. He's way more apt at this stuff than I am, but it gives you points for all the different tricks you did during the level. And so I would do I kept hitting the ball in my head over and over and over. It drove me nuts because I was trying. But I mean, I would get points for it because I did it.
You know what it reminded me of is the footbag event. In California
knew you were going to say his footbag event. I knew it was going. Just waiting for it to come. I know. I'm horrible at footbag. So I looked this up to see how it reviewed back in the day. This did pretty well. In fact, it did. I'd say B average. Amiga CD32 Gamer, that doomed magazine, gave it 88%. Amiga Computer gave it 88%, Amiga Format 93, Amiga Power 80, and the One gave it 93. So, between 80s and low 90s. I think that's probably where I would put it. I look, when we do these games, I think, how did it look? It looks good. How did it sound? It sounded good on the ECS version. It sounded pretty good. How's the concept? Concept solid, really interesting. How does it play? It plays pretty well. How does it control? That's the only thing I didn't like about it. That's where I would dock points. Again, it may just be that I'm not skilled enough to play it well, but it was, but the fact that you had to play it in a different way. I've never played a game like this where I had to move so bizarrely.
Another game that I sort of compare it to is Yoshi's Island. Have you ever played that on the Super Nintendo?
I've not, no.
So in that game, you actually have to use Yoshi to fire eggs at different things, and there's a whole aiming mechanism and things like that. But it's kind of another projectile-based side-scrolling game.
Was that Super Mario Land 3?
Yeah, Super Mario Land 2.
I didn't like that.
A lot of people did dislike that.
It was
game.
Nothing like Super Mario Land, and that's not good.
Right.
And so I remember playing that the first couple levels and being like, eh.
Yeah, it is a very different game.
Does it ever get like Super Mario Land?
No.
I wonder why they made that choice. I know this is the Super Mario Land podcast.
It's hard to say. It's like why follow up Super Mario Brothers 1 with Super Mario Brothers 2?
Who knows? One thing else before we close it up. When you kick your ball into a spike pit, it makes a satisfying noise. It gets like the ball's deflating. And I can't tell you how many times I heard that noise. Because I always just kick the ball off the screen, just over and over. And one thing you can do in this game is when you kick the ball off the screen, you'll hit people you can't even see. And that was part of the strategy. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, you can just kick the ball off, and if they're fairly close to where you are, it'll hit them. And so my strategy was, by the time again, I'm not reinventing the wheel. I'm sure this is everyone's strategy, but as I was scrolling across, I'd want to get a good shot in before I even got there. That way you've got enough time to hit them again.
Right.
Because those guys on the bikes, for example, that took 2 hits, they'd be coming up on you so fast you could not get that second hit in. Another thing I like to do in this was to kick the ball as I'm running off. I did that a lot. Did you do that a lot? Was that one of your...
No, I never really tried that.
I would be running, and you could jerk the stick back real quick, and that way if you got a guy on your hiney, you could whack him with the ball.
Oh, interesting.
There's a lot of different things you can do with the ball, and this is just the basic stuff. That's what I liked about the game. It gave you a different slant. If the road or whatever, there was a little hill or something, you'd kick the ball up, and it would fly off. There was like a physics engine or something with the ball. The ball would bounce sort of realistically. It would hit stuff and bounce back and forth. It made that game part of the game interesting too, because unlike Mr. Dew's ball, which just sort of randomly goes off, this one there was some rhyme or reason to it. It would bounce off the wall and come back or whatever. And if you waited around long enough, you usually find the ball or it would roll back to you.
Right.
But I was always too impatient, just hit the button and wait and get it back as quick as I could. I looked at some on eBay, Boat. I know you're stunned, and believe it or not, I found a copy here in the USA. I was stunned. $20. And Soccer Kid can be yours boxed.
That's very good price.
I was sorely tempted to buy Soccer Kid. I
wouldn't have blamed you. I wouldn't have blamed you.
If you're in the UK, it's Soccer Kid all day, every day. I saw prices ranging from $17 up to $34 boxed. You're good to go. Some guy was selling the discs only for $7. And then you've got the Germans. If you're in Germany looking for this, buy it in the UK. There's one guy, $370.
Holy cow.
But it's sealed. So
you never know with those sealed games.
Is that worth it? I don't know. But overall, I dug it. Another soccer game that I'll have to say I liked. So
all right.
In fact, I think I've liked every soccer-related thing we've covered on the show. It's the darndest thing.
It is. It's very funny.
And this was way better than the American football games we played. So
any day of the week.
Embarrassing.
This game was brought to us by Amigos Game Selection Committee member Chris Folds. So thank you, Chris, for choosing such an awesome title.
Yeah, good choice.
I would like to next talk about last week's Patreon song winner.
Oh, my.
This has actually been many weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, because we did a couple episodes where we taped ahead of time. I'd like to congratulate Darren Green for winning. Darren wrote in with the correct answer while the show was still going on. So he was fast out of the gate.
Impressive.
And unfortunately, he did not include his favorite Amigos episode or mailing address. So I did not make him a postcard, but maybe all he wanted was just to bask in the glory of recognition. So thank you, Darren. We also want to thank Figgy CTZ, Matthew Perron, and Chris Folds for writing in their answers. Everyone guessed the correct answer, which was "I'm Still Standing" by Sir Elton John.
Yeah.
All right.
Even I got that one, Bo.
So it is time for this week's Patreon Song Challenge. If you know the answer, please write in. I think we're actually going to discontinue the postcard thing because it was taking me. The problem is that I can't just put the cover art on there and let it be. I was moving things around. I was using different fonts. It was taking me like an hour to do this postcard.
Bo's a perfectionist.
Yeah.
Y'all.
But you will get to bask in the glory of being mentioned on the Amigos in next week's episode. So send your guesses to john@amigospodcast.com.
Maybe you could just sing their name in an amusing way.
I will do that. I will sing your name in an amusing way. All right. So here we go. Dan Ross, Lee Kellon, Alan Kebab, Donald Tyler, Level, Lord John Marshall, Matthew Perron, Ricky DeRocha, Crippy, Dead Boy, Figgy, CTZ, The Slow Norris, Stefan Sagard Martinson, Edvin Helen, Bilindo 70, Fake Christopher, Hassasa, Ravi Abbott, Chris Folds, Dreamcatcher, Lauren Giroux, Graham Vebke, Bryn Dowdy, Lane Dinson, Adam Battersby, O'Brien's Retro and Vintage, Gary Hucker, C. Brian Hall, Harrington, Duncan Styles, Anthony Jarvis, Tapes from the Crypt, Josh Nan, Will Williams, Adam Bradley, Jonas Rulo, THC, Eric Nelson, Darren, Tommy Hummus, Daniel Pixie, Brother Barracuda, Darren Coles, Jason Walls, Pixels and Dog, Kilby and Barman. So if you know what that was, let me know because I'm not sure myself.
If you know what that was, man, time to stick a pencil in your ear.
So,
Sharp side forward.
next week, Aaron.
Yeah, what are we playing next week, Boat?
Before I announce it, I should say that if you want to be part of that illustrious list of names,
and who wouldn't?
You can go over to patreon.com/Amigos Podcast and become an Amigos supporter. You can also gain access to our Discord, which is Amiga Talk 24/7, all kinds of crazy nonsense. Everything's going down over on the Discord. You need to be there with us. So once again, that is patreon.com/Amigos Podcast. Aaron, next week we are going to do Figgy CTZ, another Amigos Game Selection Committee members game. We are going to play that classic strategy, first-person dungeon crawler-esque.
It's like 10 things.
It's 10 things in one. It is Hired Guns.
Okay, Hired Guns.
Yeah, so guys, thank you for listening. We want to thank everybody hanging out with us in the chat. Pixels at Dawn, Retro Ravi, Duncan Styles, Treyguard, Paul Harrington, Christopher Hassel, Pixels at Dawn, I already said that, Dan Ross, John Marshall. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us. We record this almost every Friday, and we're recording Thursday this week, but mostly it's on Fridays around 5:30 Eastern Time. So feel free to join the party in the chat. And of course, you can always listen to us in audio or video form on YouTube. Follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Google Plus is where we post all of our show notes.
You know, that's a fetching shirt you're wearing there, Bo.
Thank you. This is our Amigos Retro Gaming shirt. Be sure and check out our sister show, ARG Presents, in podcast or video form. You can go over to tpublic.com/stores/AmigaTees to purchase an official Amigos shirt or ARG shirt. We've got all kinds of crazy stuff on there, even a Guru Meditation shirt.
Very good.
So, all right, we will see you guys next week for Hired Guns. Until then, adios. All right, I've got to pee real bad.
You stumped the chat room with your. I think I know it. I think I know it.
It's going to be the American centric thing.
Is
Long
it?
Island's own.
We're gonna record a little bit more when you get back.
Yeah.
Beautiful. You guys there in the chat room, as I ream over here to get the mouse, have you guys got to play Soccer Kid very much? Or, for you Spectrum folk, who here has played Death Chase? Because Death Chase was kind of cool. I kind of dug it. Thank you very much, fellas. Oh, man, you got to go to work. I just got off, I understand. I did 320 miles of driving today. Thank you, UK Retro Gamer. I did my best. Yeah, Soccer Kid, man. It's okay, Rabby. So you're probably like me. Can someone? Well, and I should have chatted this the other night, but who can tell me the foolproof method to bouncing up and down on the ball? I had a hell of a time doing that. Yeah. Oh wow. Well, what are you, a truck driver or something, man? That is a long. I thought it was a long day for me. I played left of them. We had to. We've added different runs to our list because we have became short of a few people, so I'm running amok. So you got. That's why I pulled down and clicked the fire. Gosh, I don't know what it was. Has anyone played this on the CD32 perchance? Yeah. I tried both versions and had no luck with either, I'm afraid. We were just chatting about the games. Yeah, I'm glad I'm not the only one. I was feeling like a chump. A chump, I tell you. Hired Guns next week, Bode?
Hired Guns, for real.
You're already done.
Yeah, I've already played it. I've already got all the info. All my research, which is nothing.
Also, UK Retro Gamer, you actually played this on the 3DO? Oh, okay.
Well, that's cool. We should definitely check it out.
How do we not have that for the 3DO, Boat?
I don't know. I forgot to switch back to our big scene.
That's all right. Let's make a big scene now. So, I got plenty of good topics for this week.
All right, let me start up our recording. Hit me. Go on. Come.
Guess what I did last weekend, Boat?
What did you do last weekend?
Last weekend, me and Tree went to Braxton County, West Virginia.
Now, is Braxton County sort of an urban landscape with lots of big cities?
No, not at all. It is the middle of nowhere. Then you make a right, and you go further. And it is the geographical center of West Virginia. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, Braxton County.
Interesting.
It's the geographical center of the state. We went there for the world premiere of the Small Town Monsters production of the documentary about the Braxton County Monster.
Really?
Yes. The Braxton County Monster is also known as the Green Monster, and it's also known as the Flatwoods Monster. It's got 3 names.
Oh.
And so we got there early. We went to the Flatwoods Monster Museum, which is in Sutton, which is basically right down the street from Flatwoods. Which is awesome. And get this, who's the guy running the museum? The same guy who runs CharCon, which is the local gaming, the big board gaming festival that we have in Charleston. But the museum is real neat. We had a good time there. That's him. So I don't know what that Captain Catfish is. But we had a good time there. They had lots of props and...
Now, if you look at like the Braxton County Monster versus our other favorite monster from West Virginia, Mothman, does Mothman have more of a following?
Yes, absolutely. But Braxton County's on the rise. We should call them the Flatwoods Monster. I think that's the preferred name of them now. But I grew up, and it's actually sort of changed. The documentary ended up being sort of about that, which I'll get to that in a minute. But we went to the museum and spent a good amount of while there. Teresa got a couple shirts. She got me a Flatwoods Monster shot glass and some stuff for Luke. She got a necklace. They had earrings. They had a bunch of crazy stuff there. All of it Flatwoods Monster related.
Sure.
Then we went to eat. There's a place called The Spot, and The Spot is very close to where the encounter with the Braxton County Monster, the Flatwoods Monster, was. And it's a monster-related restaurant. It's got about 6 chairs in it, and it's exactly like the Dairy Freeze in Winfield, if you've ever been there.
Many times.
It's much smaller, but the same sort of menu, except it's all monster-related. And you can get Mothman burger and a
Flatwoods Monster shake.
That's right, the Bigfoot, whatever. They get all different stuff. And they have a little gift shop there as well. I'm sure you got some stuff there. And then we had a couple hours to kill. And what they've done here, and this is quite brilliant, a local artist went and made 5 big chairs. Big, like 2 or 3 people get in them at once.
Kind of like you see outside of like big truck stops and stuff, like when you go visiting.
Sure. And they put these all over the area. There's 5 of them, and you can visit each one. There's a map. And so we spent the day getting pictures of us sitting in each of the chairs, and they're usually they're quite scenic. Some of them. There's one at the Big Days Inn Convention Center. There's one at the park.
I think there's a picture of that.
That's one of them right there. That's one of them. Yeah. There's one at the right beside the restaurant. There's one beside the Dairy Queen. They're real nice. We got pictures of all those, which was fun. That took a couple hours.
You got a Shoney's right there in the background too.
There's a restaurant in Flatwoods that is super pricey. It's a super elite rich guy restaurant. I don't know why it's there. It's in this old mansion. It's a bed and breakfast, and they've got one there. It's right beside the river, so that was neat to go there.
Did you guys eat at the fancy mansion?
No. $20 hamburger, too rich for my blood. We ate at the Spot, which was, trust me, I still dropped $26 on that meal, but it was still. So then we went to the actual Sutton Theater, historic Sutton Theater, and we had ordered tickets ahead of time, which is good because they sold out the theater, which is unbelievable. I mean, it's a big theater for West Virginia. It's a good-sized theater. And we went in, and the director was there. The people of the documentary were all there, and we watched them. It was about a 45-minute documentary on the Braxton County Monster, and it was really interesting. And the part of the gimmick on it was they were going to talk about what actually happened and then what it evolved into from myth-wise. And of all the UFO encounters or Bigfoots, this is actually one of the more credible ones because it was seen by a lot of people and they've stuck to their story, and some of them are still alive. It happened in the 50s. This predates Mothman by a decade or more. But it was the story is these kids are playing in a field. They saw a meteor fly overhead. They went to get their mom. They walked up on the hill where this was at. This ain't super deep in the woods. It's just like it's a city street, but it's in the hill.
Mm-hmm.
And they went up there and they saw a creature coming out of a tree, kind of at them. It's sort of like the bottom half of it was sort of shaped like a missile, and it had those little like clawed hands, and it had sort of they called it upside down, like it was like an ace of spades behind its head, and it had like a red head, like yellow eyes, something like that. And this thing sort of came at them, and they ran off, got the sheriff, and the local. They ended up bringing in the National Guard up there, sealed off the area, whole 9 yards. It was pretty interesting. And so, what was it? Who knows?
Now, what after a time, what did the story evolve into?
This thing had acidic breath. It killed the dog that was with him. It had did a bunch of it showed up multiple times.
So the original Braxton County Monster or Flatwoods Monster story only one appearance.
Right. It never came. It's not like the Mothman. It was there
Right,
once.
okay.
It never came back. And it's been beefed up a lot. It had laser eyes and crap. But it's a pretty interesting tale. It's not one you hear too much about. It's big in Japan. There's the Braxton County Monster. The image of him has actually appeared in a Zelda game.
Really?
There's a Zelda game. I think it's. I don't know which one it is, but there's one where you have to go to this farm because this girl is being hassled by aliens, and those are the aliens in it. They're in the game.
How cool!
And it's in some other games too. It's in some shooters.
So the Braxton County Monster is in the public domain.
Yeah.
Okay.
Completely. What are you gonna do?
Right.
But it was interesting. It was an interesting film, and afterwards they had a Q&A with all the actors, which was interesting. So we had a real good time.
That's great.
So that's my story number one. What do you got?
Nothing. Move on to story number 2.
What did you do last weekend?
We got ready for the Athens Jazz Festival with
How
my
was
middle
that?
school band. We're going on Saturday.
Oh, it hasn't happened
It
yet.
hasn't happened.
The Athens Jazz
So
Festival.
I'm loading up 32 middle school kids in a bus and taking them to Athens, Ohio.
Are you driving the bus?
I wish I could drive the bus, but
I was going to say, because if you're not, I would grab one of those bottles and just kind of stick it deliberately in the back of your pants.
yeah, this is the biggest trip that we've taken in the 5 years that I've been.
A middle school band trip.
Yeah.
Man,
yeah.
that never happened to me.
Yeah, so I'm excited. I think it's going to go well, but we'll see. I'll have more to report on that when we get back.
I don't think I've talked about this on the show, and you know this story, but I had quite a windfall of classic computer equipment, as you know. I had a friend of mine whom I used to babysit for call me up it's been 2 weeks ago, I think, Boat.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, listen, he said, my grandfather has passed away 4 years ago, and my grandmother's cleaning out all of his stuff. And would you like to have? He had a couple Atari computers. Would you like to go get them? And I was like, sure, I'll go get them. I'll take them. Giving them away because me and him, he got me into Atari. I used to babysit him. They had an Atari 400 and they had an Atari 800, and we would play. We played Blue Max and Vanguard and Zaxxon, everything else you could think of. We used to play all the stuff I played was because it was there. So I thought, okay, great. So we went over there, and me and Luke went. She just lived right over behind the middle school. Went out, went into walked up, said hi, and they're like, listen, you might want to back your Jeep up over here. I was like, uh-oh. And 9 boxes of stuff later, I was filling up the arcade with box after box of classic Atari stuff. And I got so much stuff, I called Bo. I was like, listen, come on over and look at this stuff. And
I happily stopped fixing my lawnmower to do that.
So what did you think of that load of stuff?
Like I told you, the first thing I told you when I walked in, I said, I'm so glad that this happened to you and not me, because I would have kept every single piece of that.
It was quite a windfall of stuff. And deciding what to keep and what to get rid of has not been the easiest task, because I'm like Bo, if I had the space, I'd probably keep all of it. But some of the stuff in there was like manuals, old software. And so some of them have just been eBaying off over the past week. And I have found out that there is a market for the weirdest stuff. Mm-hmm. I'll give you some examples. One of the things that sold immediately was a graphics generating bit of software. It was rated 9 out of 10 on Amiga Mania, which is apparently a respected Amiga grading site and a rarity site. This thing went for like, I believe it sold for 60 or 70 bucks. I had an old game that was just called Soccer, I believe, and but it was complete. It was the disc version, and it went for like $70 or $80 as well. So, but even some stuff that you would never think would sell. I had an A+ government learning tool. You know, just it was just like to learn about the government, like a teaching thing. These guys were teachers. They had a lot of stuff for school kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and even something like that has sold. The another guy bought How to Learn French, and it was a French guy that bought it, which I thought was strange.
It is. How strange.
So the educational stuff is sort of in vogue, I think, to a certain degree.
Well, I think that for collectors that already have everything, you know, what's left? That stuff.
Well, you know, it was quite a bit. And the funny thing is, if you looking through these books and stuff, the fellow that owned all this stuff had left notes in a lot of it. He had, of course, some of the books he'd went through and highlighted and circled stuff. He had put index cards in a lot of stuff, and he had. This guy was a programmer for sure. He had a bunch of discs that he had worked on. I haven't decided what to do with those yet. I should probably try to archive. I don't know what's personal and what's not. You know, I've got no way to archive them myself really, so I haven't. You know, I'll talk to somebody about it. But it was quite a windfall of goodies that I've been forwarded.
You know, I've long suspected that those neighborhoods behind the middle school that's a honey hole right there, because you've got some older people that live back there that have not moved.
Yeah.
And that would be a good place. You know, yard sales are mostly dead, but that might be a good place to check out once summer gets here.
I did have a talk with his grandson that the guy I used to babysit for, and we talked for a couple hours on the phone the night I got that stuff. And he told me all about it. What his granddad had done was bought everyone in the family Ataris. That was their machine. Mm-hmm. And so he'd bought everyone Ataris, and as they upgraded their Ataris, they would give him back the old ones.
Oh,
and so he ended up.
okay.
That's why he's got 2 400s, an 800, a couple Atari 800 XLs.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess as they got new drives, it would give like the tape drives back. So he's got 3 or 4 tape drives, you know. And a bunch of crazy peripherals for the Atari, including stuff like game show controllers, which I'd never seen before.
No.
The old koala pad in the box. The koala pads, I mean, they drew the crap out of it. You could tell it had been used to death, but I got one of those in a box. And a keypad, a numeric keypad, which I thought was pretty unusual. So a lot of crazy stuff, plus a bunch of joysticks, which Boat took home a couple of his favorites.
Gym sticks, baby.
They pre-chewed. You'll have to chew them later. And what was that software that you wanted?
Oh yeah, there's an old edutainment title that I had when I was a lad called Creature Creator.
Creature Creator. Yeah. And there was some games in there, some cartridges, mostly generic stuff. They did have minor 2049er in there, which is pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
So it was a real nice windfall of goodies for me. So I'm still kind of looking through it to kind of ascertain values and see what Atari stuff. I mean, I'll have to say the software has aged well from a price perspective. It's sought after, I guess, because the Atari name is involved.
Right.
And it would be as nice as it would be to get a big stash of Amiga stuff. That's almost an impossibility to hear. Mm-hmm. So Atari is probably as close as we're going to come. And you can forget getting ZX Spectrum stuff or anything like that. Can you imagine a big stash of Timex Sinclair stuff? I wouldn't know what to do with it.
Well, I'd be like, look, I've got one of these things nobody else has.
Yeah, it would be crazy.
It can't run the games.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been an interesting couple weeks. We're going to see pro wrestling Friday, which should be fun, and I think we're going to see it again on the 24th on a Saturday in Ironton, so that'll be a good time. And summer's finally here, and we've been cold for a long time, so it's nice to be nice and warm and pretty out there, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to stay that way, but
did you say your mower's broke?
Yeah, I've never done any maintenance on it since I bought it, so I've got to change all the filters and everything. So
I never did any on mine either.
Yeah.
Mine mower's interesting because we got it from a guy for like $25 or $50. You know the little gear shift on a mower that makes it go faster or slower? Mm-hmm. Nah, it just goes. You know those kind of mowers where you fire them up and they'll move for you.
Self-propelled.
Right. This one has that, but it's always stuck at full throttle.
So you're running behind it.
So old dopey me, my neighbors take pity on me. They see me out there, then they think they're to kill me because this thing drags me all over the yard. But I get done quick. But man, it's crazy. That could be a show. I could just film me mowing.
That would be an awesome
My
show.
brother used to bring his industrial size mega mower over, but when I got the fence installed, it won't fit to the gate. So I'm on my own.
Well, it's going to be an interesting summer for me because, as you know, I have this 75-foot tree that's fallen across the back of my yard. It's not exactly going to be easy to mow around.
I would just let nature reclaim them.
Yeah, 200 or 300 years, it'll be gone.
Let me ask you, how often do you go into your backyard?
Never.
Except for mowing, right?
That's the only time I'm back there.
So what have we learned?
Right.
Listen, when I lived on Mud Mountain, I had trees falling. I had crap going on everywhere. Man, if it wasn't on my porch, I didn't cut it. And then if it was on the porch, I had a sword. I would go and just, man, can you imagine? I just thought about how stupid that must look. Me in a bathrobe, whacking this tree with a sword.
Is this a full-size katana?
No, it's a full-size sword. It was like
a long sword?
When I worked for that Kung Fu master.
Is this Sensei Dan?
This is Dan. When I worked for Dan, I did computer work for a guy. He didn't have any money, so he paid me in swords. And this was a sword that it's a wooden handle. It's a huge sword. It was to use as mount. I think it's quite old, but it's to be used from a horseback. It's a real long.
Really? Wow.
And so I would take that out and just whack the crap out of these because I had a good reach on them. I had a samurai sword that I did that with, but I broke it one day. When I was whacking a limb and I hit a rock and it broke and it went ching and the blade actually stuck into my the railing of my stairs.
Did you just leave it lay? Did you leave it stuck in there?
I don't remember what I did with it, to be honest with you. It doesn't matter because that railing got knocked down when I moved the video game down the stairs. So Mud Mountain, this is the time of year where it's quite lovely up there.
Yeah, maybe you should drive up there tonight after we finish.
No, I'm not going to be doing that. I'm not going to be doing that.
You ever take Luke up to the mountain and show him?
He's never been up to the mountain.
Oh.
I should take him up there. My uncle lives up there now, so that'd be kind of fun to go up there. But no, we haven't been up there for quite a while. I visited my uncle up there one time, and that's the only time I've been up there. So, did I tell you that I managed to sell my other uncle's or my relative's pinball machine? Did I tell you I finally got that sold?
No, because I'd seen that it had been on Facebook for a little bit.
I had, after several misstarts, it's amazing how much action I got on my Facebook page. People bugging me nonstop everywhere I went. And finally, this old guy, one of my friends that live in the valley, who's a pinball guy, he's listening because I sent this old guy to you. He wants a pinball machine, see if you can get some action. And the guy no-showed me once, but he called me back. He said I was going to come and look at it. So I never ever was involved in this physically. I was just doing all the dumb guy work. And I told my uncle, I was like, listen, don't take anything less than $550 for it because you paid $450. You need to make a few bucks so you got a good deal. You got $550. So he made it $100.
Fantastic.
So that was my good deed. That was my good deed for the day. I've been blabbing for a while. You got to have something to talk about.
I really don't have anything to talk about. I guess I could talk about I went back to martial arts this past week.
Yeah, let's talk about that, man. Tell them what the martial art is.
So when about 12 years ago, when I lived in Newport News, Virginia, I started studying Iaido and Kendo, which are the two Japanese sword-based martial arts. Iaido is a solo practiced art. You're using a katana. And Kendo is a not solo martial art where you wear armor and you whack the crap out of each other with a stick. So then I moved to Korea and I studied a Korean sword martial art called Gumdo. Okay, and Gumdo kind of borrows a lot from Kenjutsu, which is a sort of related sword martial art in Japan, but Koreans will never admit that. They have a history with the Japanese. Anyway, when I moved back here, all of that stuff went in the closet, and I never picked up a sword again or anything like that. And so I started exercising and stuff again, and I was like, well, I've got to have a practical purpose for trying to get in shape. I can't just be in shape just for the heck of it. So I'm going to go back. I really enjoyed Iaido, and we're lucky because there's only one place around that teaches Iaido. You know, there's no place that does kendo. The closest place that does kendo is either Columbus or Louisville.
I'm surprised because kendo seems like it'd be more of a likely to find than Idaho.
You would think that. You would think that, but there's not. So, but I re-enrolled in the same place where I used to take Taekwondo as a boy, and this place called USA Martial Arts Training Center, and I took my first class on Saturday. And I loved it. It was great. It was just like being back in Newport News. You know, Iaido is a very cerebral martial art because you never have an opponent. It's not practical at all. People get onto it. They say, well, it's not practical. Well, duh, it's not. When are you going to get in a sword fight in real life, you know? So this is a very, you know, it's based on kind of what samurai would do when they were attacked, but it's very stylized and or pared down depending on the situation. But I like it because it's just like music. Every single part of it can be perfected. There's a proper way to do everything from, you know, when you take the sword out to the way you put it back in. Everything is very exact, and I like that sort of cerebralness about it. So anyway, I've started, you know, my last week was my first class. I won't be there this weekend because I'm taking the jazz band to Athens, but I'll be back in a week's time. Looking forward to it.
Not too bad.
Yeah.
Not too bad. The kid had his first baseball game. When was it? It was Tuesday. But he had a practice on Saturday. And it was so cold that only 2 other kids showed up and no other dads.
Oh, wow.
So I had to go out and be assistant coach. And trying to stab a ball, an errant throw, I twisted things in my body that I don't know what they are. And I've been in agony for the past several days.
Oh.
So I'm guessing I pulled something. I zigged when I should have zagged. And listening to your tale about martial arts makes me feel all the more pathetic for not being able to play, to go out and play a couple hours of baseball without dying. So I probably had to get my act together.
I tell you what, man, we need to start working out together.
Oh, God.
Amigos Gym. I'm making the T-shirts right now.
Oh, don't do it, man. Does the gym have a big thing full of donuts in it?
We can make it happen.
That'd be fine. I'm not fun to work out with or be with when I'm trying to lose weight. I become much grumpier, angrier person, which is one of the reasons I don't do it very often. The lack of willpower being the other reason.
You had a Y membership there for a while, didn't you?
Yes, for a while, briefly. I don't like working out at the Y. Well, to be honest with you, when we had it, it just didn't jive with my schedule. You know how it is. I come home from work and it's go time, so I just never could go.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We let the kids swim there sometimes, but I very rarely ever got to go. Got to go.
I'm very lucky in that, you know, it's right on my way home, so I literally go past it. You know?
Yeah.
So
they have started that huge construction in front of where we live, and so everything's going to be a chore for the next year. Our roads are it's like moon patrol. You need that moon buggy to get around, and so they finally got around to paving the roads, but they've paved the most busy, worst possible place they could pave. It's the one they're going to do, and so it's going to really inconvenience us for a while.
Well, when you say the most busy, worst possible place, you just mean in relation to you and me.
Well, no, I mean that stretch of I-64 is in West Virginia is one of the most traveled roads there. It may be the most traveled road,
which is why it's in such rough shape.
Right, but I'm just saying it's very well traveled, which means there's going to be a lot of traffic. Which means it's going to be very inconvenient. So.
Yeah. Now you're coming from the opposite direction, so I guess you haven't experienced it coming towards Hurricane.
Oh yeah, I have.
From Charleston.
No. God only knows.
Yeah.
What that's like. But I've experienced that plenty of times in my old
job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, there's nothing worse than sitting in traffic. It's the worst.
Yeah.
I like the fact that some guy is in his Cadillac in Leeds, listening to us talk about how horrible it is to be in traffic, and he's in traffic. So who was it that sent that in earlier?
That's Mr. Threepwood.
Mr. Threepwood, there you go.
Yeah.
Good luck, brother. We're with you in spirit, man.
All right, Aaron. I feel like we've meandered along this path long enough. Let's close it on down.
Next week, the wrestling report will be back.
That's right.
It's going to be awesome.
Wait. Maybe we'll even do a little Amigos wrestling
We might just wrestle right here. I might put you through this table, depending on my mood.
Basement wrestling. That's a new thing. It's
not
the
a new
next
thing.
evolution.
That's not a new thing. Unfortunately, it would be a different thing because usually it's something you buy in the back pages of something. Let's not call it that. That's horrible.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Adios. See everybody in the chat.
Bye, guys. Love.